So let's have once again discussion on polity questions related to Panchsutra 4. Before taking discussion, I will try to highlight one thing, that we got some comments that key questions are not based on authentic sources. So I will try to tell you, and we will try to ensure that we do not do. We try to keep the questions as original as possible and as clear as possible. At the same time, we try to ensure that we do get the questions from authentic sources. That one question which was linked to related to sessions of parliament, and that, let's say, we got from Lok Sabha channel. So that should be very clear. At the same time, there was one error in the question which we say that we try to eliminate errors as much as possible, but still at the end of the day, we regret that one, two errors are left. So we feel regrettable for that. At the same time, we certainly try to ensure to eliminate them. But in one question, we just had mistake that the question should be that which of the following are related to symmetrical federal polity. But we mention in question which of the following are not related to symmetrical federal polity, asymmetrical federal polity. So not should be removed, then question you can solve, it will be correct. So we regret that such mistakes should not happen, and let's take once again on those questions. So this time we have kept questions more of a bookish type, you know that, taken from different sources of books. In first three tests, we have tried to give you different types of random questions, understanding based questions. This time a bit more flexible, factual side. So the first question is a direct question which you can see that in various acts what activities were done. So if you have read and you are clear about this, so you should know that these first three are correct. This first three statements are correct statements. It happened, the divesting of legislative power happened during this time. Central Legislative Council was constituted and there was separation of powers from executive powers. Legislative powers were separated and Legislative Council was created. At the same time, that Legislative Council was supposed to work on the process and procedures followed by British Parliament. So this statement is also correct. And similarly, let's say 58, the dual governance structure, board of control, court of directors or diarchy system was abolished, and then India came under the direct control of crown through Secretary of State. So first three are correct. This indirect election, so this is how, so indirect election was rather introduced in 1892. This Indian Councils Act 1892, it was introduced, not in 1861. In 1861, representation and decentralization were introduced. 1861 is known for decentralization and representation. 1892 is known for introduction of indirect elections, that in legislative councils which was introduced in 1853 Act. In that, nominations were, members were indirectly elected by provinces and other such electorates. Hence, that was considered as an indirect election. And direct election was introduced in Government of India Act 1919. That is how. So in this way, three statements are correct. So correct options would be C. This. Next question. In this question, the trick is that it is saying negative and it is also saying negative. So when we have negative and then plus negative equals to positive, you know that. So basically you have to, let's say, it says Rajya Sabha does not enjoy power. So which of the following powers Rajya Sabha does not enjoy? This, the Rajya Sabha does not enjoy only this power. Rajya Sabha cannot reject finance bill. Rajya Sabha has powers. The Rajya Sabha has powers. The Rajya Sabha has power to suggest amendments in money bill. Rajya Sabha has power to hold a minister answerable, even if ministers are in actual practice answerable to Lok Sabha. At the same time, on some matters, even Rajya Sabha can also uphold them answerable, and that's why even they are called in that house and they should be present, you know that. Even Prime Minister also attends, even if he belongs to Lok Sabha. So it is not barred, you can say. So that is how it is also correct. And it can reject a constitutional amendment bill. So these three are the powers of Rajya Sabha, but this one is not power of Rajya Sabha. This. Now, if say that ki Rajya Sabha does not enjoy power, and then it says how many of the above are correct. This. Suppose it is correct, not incorrect, so the option will be only one, A. But then what incorrect we have mentioned. So incorrect means just opposite. So incorrect means option will be C. This. That is how you have to take. The correct answer, the correct choice in this question is option C. That is how you have to take rather than one. This. And because of that, let's say, so this question will be tricky because of this and this. So you can yourself see what you have done, whether you have corrected it right or you have got trapped by the two, let's say that negative things. So these things, if you are trapped by that, these things is, let's say, you should improve. These are the areas you are supposed to improve. This. Next. So statements related to Indian parliamentary democracy. This time we have asked, I think, 4 statements deliberately, statement types. See, UPSC, it is not necessary that it is going to repeat this year also. Those 45 questions based on only one, only two, like this. UPSC is UPSC, you know that. So that's why you should be prepared for any variety of questions. So deliberately we have asked 4, let's say, statement-based questions in polity section this time. Now, both statements, if you see, so they are simple statements. One says that, let's say, in the context of basically Indian parliamentary democracy. So, Council of Ministers, yes, it is a correct statement, you know that, individually responsible, it is a correct statement. Now, it says that since we have adopted Westminster model of parliamentary democracy, yes, we have adopted Westminster model of parliamentary democracy, it is also correct. Then we have to see that whether B is really, let's say that the correct explanation of statement 1. Means whether statement 2 is, this is how can say that, this is correct explanation of statement 1. So yes, it is correct explanation. It is because of Westminster model of parliamentary democracy or the parliamentary democracy that we have adopted, pattern of Westminster model. There it happens that Council of Ministers would be collectively and individually responsible. And that is how this option A will be considered right option in this question. Then next question is, this time that is how I was saying that we have asked questions related to some more direct questions type, factual questions type. And these things are related to Controller and Auditor General of India. So it determines forms of the account. It is a not correct statement. The forms of accounts are determined by President. They are determined by President on the advice of CAG. CAG gives advice, it does not determine. This you should know. Then it maintains the accounts of the states. Yes, it is a correct statement. You should know that ki CAG. So CAG as an institution, so in case of Government of India, it only does an audit. But in case of, let's say that ki states, right, it does not only do, let's say that ki audit, but also accounts are also maintained. It is also responsible to maintain the accounts of states. This, so that way you should know. And therefore this statement second is correct. Why? Originally CAG was given the task of maintaining accounts also and auditing also for Government of India. But in 1976, this for Government of India, accounts were separated, you know that. And accounts are maintained by Controller General of Accounts. This, which we consider one day also a prelim question. Controller General of Accounts. So that functionary maintains the accounts of Government of India. But it was not done for states. For states, accounts are still maintained by CAG. And that is how, let's say, it is correct statement. Now, it audits the accounts of local self-government. It is incorrect. Why? Because you know that the 73rd, 74th amendments, they did not envisage for audit of accounts by CAG. Rather, those audits of local bodies' accounts would be done by local auditors appointed by the state governments. This, and hence, let's say that it is not a right statement. Although CAG can play a supportive role, but that is informal, case to case by case you can consider. Then let's say that the fourth statement, it does not enjoy power to question the policy of the government. Yes, this, let's say that it is incorrect statement. It is incorrect statement. Try to understand. So CAG audits. So CAG does audits, and audits are, let's say, legal, financial type, and then let's say that it is discretionary type. It is legal, regulatory, which is binding, regularly done, and discretionary audit is related to proprietary audit. CAG does different types of audit, and one audit is known as proprietary audit. Proprietary audit is an audit which is discretionary audit, means CAG is not supposed to carry out audit again and again, means regularly, questioning the wisdom of expenditure, but at times it can carry out proprietary audit, that is auditing the accounts from the perspective of wisdom of expenditure. Wisdom of expenditure may involve questioning the policy of the government. Hence, in some cases or in exception, CAG can also question the policy of the government. It is like the way Supreme Court has been given power to formulate policy for giving complete justice to people. Similarly, CAG in exception cases can question the policy of the government. That's why you can see time to time CAG questions even the policy of the government. And in that case, we can consider this statement 4 is incorrect. Hence, let's say only one statement is correct. So, correct option will be here A. This. So, that is what in this case. Then preamble, so another question, let's say we have asked, it is a direct question which you may be aware, which you may be knowing. Let's say that if preamble, so which of the following not related to preamble are correct, you can say, not correct. The first, it envisages the nature and objects of the state. Yes, it is correct statement. It helps in legal interpretation. It is also correct statement. This. Then it serves as the source of authority. It is not. This is how many of you will be familiar. So this is not correct. And it indicates its source of let's say from which the constitution derives its authority. This is government derives authority and the constitution derives. You know that the source of power, the constitution, because constitution was adopted in the name of the people. We adopt, enact and give it to ourselves. So that is what you can consider it is source of, let's say, authority to constitution, but not to government. This way. Hence, option D is, let's say, that correct, and correct option will be C. Then another question related to statement type. So first statement is related to constitution, let's say, absolute fundamental rights. So why we have not given absolute fundamental rights to citizen? Yes, first statement is correct that we have not given absolute fundamental rights to citizens. Now, we have to see the second statement that whether it is correct, at the same time it is the correct explanation of statement 1. So, since the goal is to establish welfare state, Indian constitution strikes a balance between fundamental rights and social control. So, as far as correctness of the statement is concerned, yes, it is also correct statement, it is also correct statement. But can we say that statement second is the correct explanation of statement 1? So, let's scrutinize it. Now, the question is we have to ask that why we did not give absolute fundamental rights to citizens. So, we know that we also adopted DPSP. We know that we also adopted Article 19(1) and Article 19 Clause 2. So, in our case, we kept fundamental rights qualified. Why we kept qualified? The one strong reason behind that is, in case of suppose you have to pursue collective rights of people, common good of the society, to maintain social order in the society, for that sake we may have to regulate the individual fundamental rights. And because of that social order and welfare, this is how it is said that we went for having a qualified type of fundamental rights rather than absolute fundamental rights, as in case of United States, you can say. Hence, let's say it will be considered, statement second will be considered also correct explanation of statement 1, and therefore in this case also option A will be considered as correct option. Then we have taken another question to test your rather than knowledge, understanding, you can say. So, Niti Aayog, let's say, one area is considered important for prelims. So, it is correct bottom-up planning. It is well known, anyone who has studied Niti Aayog, so he or she knows that, yes, bottom-up planning, you can say. Then it is also a think tank, let's say, that to the government. So, it should work as a think tank to the government. Then let's say program evaluation, we know that policy advice it gives. Then on the basis of that, government formulates different policies. At the same time, it evaluates policies of the government and it submits several such reports related to policy evaluation, which if you apply your common sense reading newspaper here and there, like say various types of indices it prepares, it is evaluation. It does evaluation, prepares a document called outcome budgeting, which is presented with budget every year. So that is evaluation. So in a way it is also correct statement, but its role is not policy regulation, you know that. It is not, let's say that it is considered, Niti Aayog is a more research oriented body. It does not have policy supervision role. It does not supervise the policy. Policy supervision is the role of line agency, means ministry and departments. Ministry departments, other institutions, regulatory bodies. Its role is not policy regulation, otherwise then its role will change, you should know. So policy regulation is about enforcing law for compliance. This is how the meaning of regulation. Enforcing law for compliance. So does it enforce law for compliance? No, it is role of administration. It is role of regulatory institutions. Hence, let's say that it is not correct. It means that three, let's say, statements are correct. So correct option will be in this case, this, because we have to go by this correct. So that way we can consider. Then this, so we try to maintain the variety of questions, that we try to keep the questions from different, let's say, sections, so that your depth of knowledge, range of knowledge, both can be tested. So let's take that, it has been in news for quite some time, general consent and let's say case specific consent. This, which CBI has to say to conduct any inquiry investigation in the states. Now, the first question is that this, without this consent, let's say, without consent of a state, CBI cannot exercise power. Yes, it is true that CBI cannot exercise. That's why this clause has been added. Without consent of the state, CBI cannot enter, let's say that. This, without consent of a state, the CBI cannot exercise power within that state's border, you can consider this. Then consent provision, yes, it is given in section 6 of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. This, it is, let's say Delhi, let's say Police Establishment Act, it is mentioned in section 6, it is also correct. This, then let's say that this generally consent clause, it is, let's say, it is correct. It is correct. So consent clause does not apply to, basically, let's say, the Supreme Court and High Court, let's say, they can give order in some exception cases. So on the basis of working of this law evolution, it has been found that the Supreme Court and High Court, when any person goes for CBI inquiry and suppose the state has not given consent, so Supreme Court and High Court, they can, let's say, that give order and then the law does not apply to them because they can supersede that law, because they are the guardian of the constitution, especially Supreme Court, you can say. Although the relationship between A and C is that it is related to law, let's say that CBI is seeking consent, it is exception case. This, if therefore the wrong option in this, it is saying that not correct. It means automatically it goes to D, withdrawal of general consent. Both are not related. Withdrawal of general consent does not result into cancellation of case by case specific consent. There is no any such practice, that. Several states have withdrawn their general consent. Still, let's say that case by case, CBI can seek consent. There is no such relation that withdrawal of one results into automatic cancellation of second. So that way we can consider. So why it was done in case of CBI? The CBI is a, let's say, unitary institution, but India is a federal state. The historical background of Delhi Special Police Establishment Act was related to unitary state rather than a federal state. That's why when it was enacted, let's say in 1946, so then this clause was added so that there can be, let's say, consent given by the states for CBI inquiry. Then this question, generally, let's say, so this, let's say, constitutional bodies, let's say, question is saying that which of the following constitutional bodies, right? This you have to know that. How many of the following constitutional bodies do not impose restrictions this on their members and chairmen after retirement to hold any employment, this you can say. So first thing, let me tell you, this question does not arise. Finance Commission is a non-permanent body, and since it is a non-permanent body, so it is constituted every 5 years, and then after submission of its report, it gets dissolved. So since it is not a permanent body, so the question of regulating the members, let's say, conduct, it does not arise. Now, if you take Union Public Service Commissions, it does have, let's say, this. It imposes restriction. It imposes restriction. It imposes restriction. This CAG also imposes restriction. As far as Election Commission of India is concerned, So it has one thing, let's say, a member should complete 6 years or 65 years of age. But post-retirement, once a member or chairperson retires, so if you read Article 324, its clauses, you will not find that the Constitution itself imposing any restriction. Although by Conditions of Services Regulation Act, which recently Government of India has brought, by that way it can be regulated. But whatever we have told in that way, the Constitution does not impose that regulation. Hence, Election Commission of India and Finance Commission, two, let's say, statements will be considered, not, let's say, restricting. So, correct option will be considered B. Then a simple question, but yes, a bit tricky you can consider. So first statement is correct. Second statement is also correct. Third statement is not correct. Fourth is also correct. Yes. It means the correct option in this question is this. It is saying not correct. So let's take that. He should be qualified to be a judge of Supreme Court, that you may have read. He is not a whole time. It is a part-time job. It is also, let's say, that right you can say. It is also right you can consider. Fourth statement is that he is not a member of cabinet. Yes, he is not a member of cabinet but can attend cabinet meetings. So this you should know that he can be ex officio member rather than the member the way you can say cabinet members. Since he enjoy even cabinet rank status, that's why on that behalf, let's say, cabinet meetings can be attended. So this will be also correct. So any statement that is incorrect is, this is how considered not a government servant. He is not considered as a government servant because it is not whole time, means it is part-time job. Since it is a part-time job, so therefore government servant definition may not apply to or does not apply to Attorney General. That you should understand. It means when we are talking, suppose you do not know option C, but you should have eliminated by elimination also. By elimination also this question you could have attempted correct. Like you know A, you know B, you know D. The C is the automatically, let's say, incorrect option. That way also it can be solved. Then these are again factual question on all four statements are correct, since all are somehow related to federal nature you can consider, or let's say that subject matter not related to only union. So generally all those subject matters which are not only related to union where state is also involved, or let's say two states are involved, in that case president, let's say that the bills require prior recommendation by president. This. Hence, all four statements are correct, and when all four statements are correct, then in this case we can consider that you will go by option D as correct option. This is how we have to use, and that way you can consider. Then, this is a bit complex question. So एक दो question complex भी होना चाहिए, lengthy भी होना चाहिए. The way you know that UPSC gives, it takes time in reading the question also. So if you see the last year standard, although last year is not always going to be the standard for this year or next year, but still let's say that. So this question is basically the relationship between two things. One that we say as Rajya Sabha, the Council of States, and the other is Legislative Council, which is created at a state level. And the question is talking that why, let's say that Council of States was given almost equal power except in financial matters, and Legislative Council was not given that power. So why it happened? So first statement is just explaining the power relation that the Council of States will find this. So Legislative Council does not enjoy power similar to, yes, it is correct. So we can say as a correct statement. So statement 1 is correct. Now why the difference, let's say differences were maintained between them. and whether they say it was based on the pattern of House of Lords. So it is true, the explanation given, you know that, the explanation given by D.D. Basu. So that shows that this is the relationship. The D.D. Basu explains that why legislative council was given dilatory power equal to or similar to House of Lords rather than Rajya Sabha in our country. So when constitution was being framed, so they tried to learn from one act of UK that was 1911, which was passed, and House of Lords powers were taken away. And since then House of Lords can only be a dilatory house, it cannot reject any bill. And the same thing was given to Legislative Council. Why? The UK is a unitary state. This. Hence, bicameral legislature in case of UK may not play, let's say, federal role, means House of Lords does not have federal role. In our case, let's say that Rajya Sabha was given a federal role. So when it has a federal role, it should have effective powers. Now, Legislative Council does not have a federal role, and that's why let's say that even if it does not have effective powers, it does not matter. And therefore, statement B can be considered as the correct explanation of statement 1. This. That why we kept, so it is explanation given, and D.D. Basu, you know that he gives, or he is considered the most authentic, most authentic book, or you can say a reference you can consider. So this is what he explains, and from there we have taken, and that way we can consider this, that yes. So option A is correct. This you can say. It means in most of the so far explanation that we have given in this statement type, option A has remained correct. This. So in a way, it is also a trick also, you know that you can take risk when you find such questions, because possibility is that both statements can be correct. And if it appears to you, so you should take risk, because you know that without taking risk, you cannot correct questions. And risk also involves other way around. Then it is a simple question, no, that public duty. So which one is the writ, let's say, the two questions I guess we have tried to ask from judiciary also. So certiorari is about transfer of cases. It is not about giving order. Let's take elimination method. Prohibition is not to give order, rather to strike order. And quo warranto is to seek explanation. So suppose even if you are doubtful that which one will be considered correct, so let's use elimination. Right. Elimination method, so that such questions you should do 100% correct. You should understand. Some questions you should do 100% correct. This means you should be confident. So it is about explanation, so cause. It's about striking the order itself, authority itself, and it is about transfer of cases from one court to another court, or transfer of case from one, let's say that authority to another authority. Even if you do not know, you may be a bit doubtful. Still, the option could have been B. This. Provided you should have knowledge, so it shows that if you have knowledge, it helps also in elimination. Knowledge ultimately helps, and this is how, let's say that it gives probability of, if you take a risk, so probability of correcting more than solving or let's say doing wrong. Now it is another, let's say factual tricky type question, let's say. So you know that it is done on the consent of president. So correct statement in this to complete the sentence is B. This. So again it demands that generally we say absoluteness of facts. In some questions you should know, you should be very clear about absoluteness of facts. Factually you should be also correct. Then it is overall, let's say that all these five amendments, if you analyze, if you read Article 1 to Article 4 related to states, you should know that so far those you can say considered five amendments were carried out. This 7th, 9th, 35, 36 and 100th amendment. What we have done is that we have just tried to club them all together. 7th was done, you know that, because of those evolution of states, 14 states, 6 Union territory. 9th was done in case of Berubari Union, you know that. And 35 was done so that we can admit Sikkim as protectorate state. And 36 was done to, let's say, make Sikkim as a full-fledged state, you know that. And also let's keep abolishing 35th Amendment Act. And 100th was done again to exchange the enclaves between, let's say, Bangladesh and you can say India. Now the question is that why constitutional amendments are needed. So far what we say, suppose you want to cede any territory, Supreme Court says that it demands constitutional amendment. Similarly, if you want to admit any new territory like Sikkim and other, let's say, Daman Diu and Goa, you can say, so that also demands amendment. This ceding any territory, admitting any territory, new territory, it demands constitutional amendment. This, and that is how you should know. But Supreme Court has told, if you want to solve any disputed territory, so solving disputed territory can be done by executive order. It does not demand constitutional amendment. So just for clarity we told you, and that is how you should know about this. And then the last question, one more question which is related to, we can say, about statement based. So again we have to see whether both statements are correct, and again it is related to creation of states. So basically we have to think that why in India, this question you can solve if you have the background understanding that why in India, let's see, when Union of States mentioned, when let's say under Article 3 power was given to Parliament to create, abolish any such in let's say state's name, territory, Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act, why Parliament can do these things at such ease without consent of state, and it becomes a kind of unitary power, or it is a kind of getting, let's say, that is centralized inclination in federal polity. Although, but in case of US, you should know that in US Congress cannot do that without the consent of the state. It is mandatory to take the consent of the state. It means that states enjoy a symmetrical power relation vis-a-vis, let's say, that federal government. But in our country, states were created for administrative convenience. So the both statements are trying to relate, and that is how Constitution of India, Parliament, the statement 1 is correct statement. It is a correct statement. Now we have to see, this is how, you will be a bit, let's say, doubtful related to whether historical and political factors were responsible rather than social, cultural and linguistic divisions. See, social, cultural, linguistic divisions, challenges, demand of the states, they came after independence, after framing of the Constitution. Before framing of the Constitution or while framing of the Constitution, what we were facing is partition challenges. We were facing, let's say, that integration of princely states challenges, you can say. At the same time, let's say that political level understanding. The political level understanding among the framers of the Constitution was based on, let's say, that constitutional practices in other countries, their own leaning towards liberal democracy. At the same time, they try to strike a balance between what, let's say, can suit to Indian situations, at the same time keeping country on a progressive note, on a progressive foundation. So they try to strike a balance between US, UK or other such constitutions, not just blindly imitating. So that can be considered as a political factor, historical factor, let's say partition experience, freedom struggle movement, past histories, when you know that centralization of power remained one of the important aspects to keep territories united, and those factors became responsible for the first one, that the parliament was given such powers. So they were, let's say, responsible factor rather than this, and that is how, let's say, Indian constitution gave more powers to union vis-a-vis states. Hence, let's say here also, this is correct. So once again, it means that all four statements, best questions that we have given, all have option A as correct. This which demanded tested your understanding of polity. So now it is another question to range, let's say that, range of your knowledge, the testing your range of knowledge, this we can consider. So if you read details of, let's say, schedule 7, the schedule 7 of this Companies Act, you know that. The schedule 7 mentions details of those, let's say that, CSR, which becomes part of these things, the activities, this. And if you read schedule 7, so all these four are part of the activities. All are correct. It is a bit random, plus testing your range of knowledge, different topics, let's say that. At the same time, testing a bit of, let's say, meticulous, how you are meticulous in, let's say that, reading and trying to know these things. Now, suppose you do not know, so will you take a risk in this? That is how. Risk, there is risk, let's say. Now, we can say that it is Swachh Bharat mission, let's say, Swachh Bharat course, you can say. It is related to ecology and environment, so you should have taken, let's say, this, both are related to this, sustainable development. It is, let's say that government of India is trying to fund sustainable development. That way we have tried to solve. And already there was PM, let's say that, relief fund. So it should have become new. If you have read the news, COVID crisis times, it remained in news that CSR funds will go to this. So that way you should have tried to apply a bit of your common sense while solving it. Although if you do not know, so it is a complete risk, you can say. When it is a complete risk, so you should avoid. Or in that case, if you do not know, so you go by all the four, although it is risky. And risk factor, you should take risk only when the probability of correcting question is more than probability of correcting wrong, which depends on level of knowledge. So now 4 tests completed, and let's say that different sections, we have tried to maintain depth of the, let's say that questions, range of questions, understanding, factual, complex nature, all these things. That way it will be testing your knowledge in polity, and let's hope that you are able to improve your knowledge by these things, at least in these questions, and learn that which area you lacked, and you could have tried to improve on that. In fact, it is not only related to polity paper, it is about all the sections that you are solving. Our endeavor is to maintain a balance in the paper, try to ask all different types of questions. And if you are solving it and doing correct, let's say even to the 50, let's say you are getting 50, 60, still you should feel confident to do better in UPSC. Because certainly, as I told in the last, means I went to one center in test 3, during test 3 time, and I talked to the students there. So I told that it's not about whether you are doing correct, it's about whether you are improving your perfection in decision making. So whether from test 1 to test 4, whether you have improved your quality of decision making, perfection in decision making, means are you now able to take improved decision making? You do not do silly mistakes, you read the statements correctly, and you try to take calculated risk. So certainly, let's say, benefits can be seen in this way, that now you are taking more informed decision Then what you used to be taking, let's say that when we started test 1, or even you may be giving tests elsewhere. It's not that you become perfect or you should become perfect only when you join our test program. It's not in that way. So let's take the final 5th test. So all the best.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Lakshmikant and we are going to have discussion for Panchsutra Test-4, Geography and Environment section. So yes, all of you may have given Panchsutra Test 1, 2 and 3. And now this is the one step ahead and we are trying to cover as many different areas as possible in all these 5 tests, so that in the final examination on 16th of June, you will benefit a lot from these questions. So let's straight away start discussing the geography questions first. Look at the first MCQ. Now, the motive behind asking this MCQ is similar MCQ was asked recently in one of the UPSC exam conducted for CDS exam. Okay, and this is a very standard pattern of asking question from geography section. It is talking about identifying the drainage pattern from the following characteristic, and we have to identify based on these characteristics. Drainage pattern, we know that the way the rivers and their tributaries form a pattern, that is called as a drainage pattern. So there are different types of drainage pattern we learn in the drainage system. We can say that for world geography as well as Indian geography. Now look at this. The rocks are made up of alternate layers of hard and soft rocks, and tributaries tend to follow pattern of this rock. So you can see hard and soft rock. Immediately we should get idea here that what it is talking. So somehow soft rocks will be eroded by the rivers and hard rocks will not be that much eroded comparatively. The primary tributaries of rivers flow parallel to each other and secondary tributaries join them at right angles. Now such kind of situation happens only in 2 kind of patterns. One is rectangular pattern and other is, we can say, trellis pattern. But in option you can see that both are there, rectangular and trellis. Ye to eliminate ho gaya, this one is also eliminated. But the difference between rectangular pattern and trellis pattern is, in trellis pattern, the alternate banding of hard rocks and soft rock is there. But if you see there in rectangular pattern, it is not there. Rather, whenever there is faulted, we can say that rock system, there we can see such kind of rectangular pattern. And this is, we can say, in the same direction where the general, we can say, slope is there. Okay, so now one of the example of trellis pattern here is given in this Ganga Brahmaputra exhibit this pattern in their upper reaches of Himalayas. Now that is true because here somehow there is alternate bands of hard rocks and soft rocks is there, and through the alternate, we can say, the, let's say, mountain system, there are valleys formed, and in these valleys the tributaries are forming. So primary tributaries are meeting the main stream at right angle, and along with that here for the primary tributaries, secondary tributaries are meeting to the primary tributaries at right angle. So isko hum bolte hain trellis pattern. C is the correct answer. Okay, fine. Now about the other patterns, you can read the explanation which is given in the let's say description of this video. A detailed description is there, and you can or detailed explanation is there, you can read it later on. Fog formation may not happen in which of the following? See, this is how applied questions are asked in the UPSC examination. Direct question जो होता है बहुत rare होता है geography से, and the applied aspect. So you need to have conceptual clarity so as to solve these MCQs. Fog formation happens, does not happen or may not happen in which of the following? Let's try to see this. Early mornings in the mountain valleys. Now we know that there is inversion of temperature called as mountain valley inversion or valley inversion. जहाँ पर हम देखते हैं in valleys there is fog formation or frost formation happens. So why this is happening? Because there is the air drainage or katabatic wind, the cold wind on the slopes is draining down towards the valley, and there is, we can say that, formation of fog because of, we can say, there is inversion of temperature situation there or atmospheric stability situation. So this is, we can say, correct where there is fog formation happens. Okay, fog formation happens when warm moist air comes in contact with cold ocean current. Now this is also one such situation where we experience the fog formation, especially when the warm and cold ocean currents are meeting. So there the fog is very common, or whenever there is onshore wind and we can say that there is some moisture there, but on the coast there is cold current flowing. So over that cold current, above that cold current, generally there is fog. ठीक है, तो ये भी हम बोल सकते हैं fog formation happens. Cooling of land surface in the temperate region by excess terrestrial radiation, this is called radiation fog. Formation of radiation fog. ये जो होता है advection fog, जिसको हम horizontal movement of wind, because of that the fog formation is happening. Radiation fog is because of excess terrestrial radiations which is losing of heat, earth is losing the heat and cooling down, and that's why the air which is in contact with that particular land surface is getting cooled, and this is how the fog formation happens. Now the region experiencing strong convective heating. So for this you should understand the concept of atmospheric stability and instability. The fog formation is very common whenever the atmospheric stability is promoted, that is whenever there is, let's say, air is moving down and staying near the surface. So there is generally formation of fog happens. But when the region is experiencing strong convective heating and if there is sufficient moisture is available, so it will move up, the air will be moving up in a convective manner, there will be chances of condensation and precipitation. So there will not be formation of fog here in this situation. So answer would be D. Okay, remember atmospheric stability and instability applied questions can be there. Alright. Now, what about this question? Description of one particular climate type is there. This is very standard question. Description of climate, description of vegetation, description of soil, description of crop. ठीक है, तो ये इस तरीके से क्वेश्चन पास्ट में आए हुए हैं, right? This type of climate is experienced along the eastern coast of tropical lands. Whenever there is description based question, try to identify the key information keywords. Okay, eastern coast of tropical lands, within tropics we can say. The regions receive steady rainfall from the trade winds throughout the year. Trade winds throughout the year. Eastern coast of India, eastern coast of continents. There is no month without rainfall. There is no month without rainfall. The key information. The regions are highly prone to severe tropical cyclones or typhoons or hurricanes. Now, from this, you can eliminate certain. Now, China type, it is in a subtropical region. China type, British type of climates, we know that it is subtropical. Eliminated. Mediterranean, subtropical. Mid latitude, we can say. This is eliminated. Now, what about savanna? ये दोनों में आपको confuse होना है. तो savanna you can eliminate. Why? Because savanna region is having distinct wet and dry climate. Okay, so for 6 months it is wet, for 6 months we can say it is dry. So alternate wet and dry type of climate is called as savanna climate, or it is also called as Sudan type of climate. So this is also eliminated, and from the remaining option you get the answer tropical marine climate. So this type of climate is observed on eastern coast of India, where we have throughout year rainfall. The examples like we can say that the Caribbean region is there, like West Indies, or northeastern coast of we can say Australia is there, Philippines is there. So these regions receive such kind of rainfall throughout the year. They are also prone to severe tropical cyclones. ठीक है, तो A is the correct answer here. All right, moving on to next question. 14th one, yes. Now look at the framing here. It is unique kind of framing. A group of adventure tourists visit the Valley of Flower National Park in India. Where it is located? Valley of Flowers. So Valley of Flowers located in Uttarakhand. Danda Devi National Park and Valley of Flowers. It is UNESCO World Heritage Site also. It is Biosphere also. Uttarakhand. Now there was question in 2017 in prelims examination. It talked about this Valley of Flowers National Park, and it said that which of the following national park or protected area lies completely in alpine belt. Completely in alpine belt. So that means it will be having some kind of alpine climate and alpine vegetation. ठीक है, तो यहीं से ये क्वेश्चन बनाया गया है उल्टा, that they must have witnessed which of the following vegetation type. Must have. अब आप अभी जैसे आपने PYQ की स्टडी किया है, तो फ्रॉम दैट यू गॉट टू नो दैट इट इज हैविंग अल्पाइन टाइप ऑफ क्लाइमेट और वेजिटेशन. सो अल्पाइन मतलब क्या होता है? अल्पाइन मीन्स समहाउ देयर विल बी अल्पाइन मीडोज और देयर विल बी taiga type of vegetation. ठीक है, coniferous trees, taiga vegetation, alpine meadows, which is we can say kind of grasslands, and taiga vegetation. So this is now taiga vegetation is not mentioned, tundra is mentioned, wet temperate vegetation, which is we can say found in comparatively lower altitude than this alpine meadows, subtropical उससे भी कम हम देखते हैं. So we know in Himalayas as we move up in the altitude there is change in the vegetation according to changes happening in the climate or climatic elements like let's say precipitation, temperature and humidity. So here from that we got the answer here, alpine meadows. B is the correct answer. B is the correct answer. ठीक है, all right. 15th one, mines and minerals in India correctly matched. So yes, economic geography is also very important part and resources से minerals से जरूर एक या दो क्वेश्चन वो पूछ रहा है पिछले 2-3 साल से. Right, now mines and minerals, the important mines only we have asked. ऐसे नहीं कि कुछ भी पूछ लिया है. They are mentioned in NCERT also. Now Badampahar mines, they are iron ore mines where they are located from Odisha, Mayurbhanj district of Odisha. ठीक है, iron ore. यहाँ पर bauxite लिखा हुआ है, this is incorrect. Katni mines in MP, they are very famous. They are called as city of lime because of huge limestone reserves, not coal. This is incorrect. Now Jhunjhunu mines in Rajasthan, very famous for copper. This is correctly matched. Jaduguda mines in Jharkhand, they are very famous for uranium deposits. This is also correct. So 2 pairs are correct, 2 pairs are incorrect. Answer would be B here. B is the correct answer. So be prepared with the names of mines also. आप ज़्यादातर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन वगैरह देखते हैं, स्टेट्स का रैंकिंग देखते हैं, बट माइंस भूल जाता है, नेम ऑफ माइंस. So इंडिया में जो भी इंपॉर्टेंट मिनरल्स है, सो ट्राई टू रिमेंबर द नेम्स ऑफ माइंस ऑल्सो. नाउ yes, we have to identify the correct statement about Khanij Bidesh India Limited, Kabil. Now why we are asking this question? Last year they asked about the critical minerals like cobalt or uranium, or we can say that they are focusing more on such kind of minerals in prelims examination because they last year there was question on, let's say, thorium reserves, and one fourth statement was related to one particular PSU which is responsible for exploration of this thorium. ऐसा क्वेश्चन था, तो PSU मेंशन किया हुआ था. Now this is also important, we can say PSU, public sector undertaking, Khanij Bidesh India Limited. Now how it was formed? It was incorporated as a public limited company, we can say, in 2019. How? Joint venture of companies among 3 government enterprises, National Aluminium Company Limited, NALCO, then HCL, Hindustan Copper Limited, and Mineral Exploration and Consultancy Limited, in the ratio of holdings of 40:30:30. This is correct statement, 2019 under Companies Act. It is formed to ensure supply side assurance of critical and strategic minerals and mineral security of the nation. This is also correct. Basically, this entity focuses on exploring and having stakes of exploration of important critical minerals like cobalt is there or lithium is there in other countries. ठीक है, बाहर के countries में. That's why the Bidesh, Khanij Bidesh. ठीक है, so this is the responsibility. Both statements are correct here. C is the correct answer. All right. Yes. So there was one question. If PYQ में देखेंगे आप तो, which of the following crop is, we can say, the least crop, water thirsty crop, least water thirsty, उसमें sugar cane mention किया हुआ था. So it is, we can say that, a very water thirsty crop. ठीक है, तो वहाँ पर हम elimination method use कर सकते हैं. Now, which among the following crops has the least percentage of total cropped area in India? And we have taken the standard reference of NCERT data. ठीक है, NCERT में जो डेटा दिया हुआ है क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न का, क्रॉप्ड एरिया का, वही आप स्टैंडर्ड फॉलो करिए इसमें, इससे रिलेटेड. सो फॉर राइस वी नो 1/4 ऑफ द कंट्री इज टोटल क्रॉप्ड एरिया इज अंडर राइस, 25% हम बोल सकते हैं. फॉर व्हीट इट इज द 14%. ऑल्सो फॉर ऑयल सीड्स इट इज अराउंड 14%. But for pulses it is continuously declining and it is 11%. ठीक है, तो least बोला गया है, तो आंसर would be C, pulses. Pulses. ठीक है, all right. Now moving on. Yes, a little bit we can say fact based question, but facts are from NCERT only. despite only 2% of total road length. This can vary recently क्योंकि NCERT का data है, ठीक है. National highways carry about 40% of road traffic in India. This is correct factually. National highways are efficiently maintained and managed, and they connect major industrial and urban centers of the country. This is correct. Who manage and maintain them? National Highway Authority of India. Okay, National Highway Authority of India under Ministry of Road Transport. Now, this particular authority is responsible for maintaining, we can say, these national highways, and they are efficiently maintained. And that's why the road traffic is more on highways, or simply we can say that the transport is preferred on highways. आप देखते हैं स्टेट हाईवेज या फिर आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट रोड्स, विलेज रोड्स देखते हैं, उनकी हालत बहुत खराब होती है. हर बारिश के मौसम में उसको नया मतलब करना पड़ता है उसके बाद में. वाई? बिकॉज सो मेनी पिटहोल्स आर देयर इन द रोड्स, राइट. सो मैक्सिमम जो ट्रैफिक होता है वो नेशनल हाईवे से कैरी किया जाता है बिकॉज ऑफ दिस रीजन. सो स्टेटमेंट 2 एक्सप्लेन्स द स्टेटमेंट 1. आंसर वुड बी ए हियर. ठीक है, ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. ऑल राइट, क्वेश्चन नंबर 19. ठीक है, 18 उसके बाद में डायरेक्टली 91 है. All right, the southern cone is a geographical and cultural sub-region of. Now, mapping aspect, world static part we can say, although it was in news for some reason, southern cone. Now you can see the options. Southern cone अगर South Africa और African continent लिया तो ये भी हो सकता है. But does African continent looks like cone? Cone अगर आइसक्रीम का कोन लेते हैं तो आइसक्रीम का कोन कैसे होता है? ऐसे दिखता है ना, या ऐसे दिखता है? ऐसे दिखता है, पॉइंटेड. ठीक है, तो दैट्स व्हाई व्हिच कॉन्टिनेंट इज हैविंग इन द सदर्न हेमिस्फीयर सच काइंड ऑफ शेप? इट इज द साउथ अमेरिका, एंड दैट्स व्हाई फ्रॉम दैट लॉजिक यू कैन यूज द आंसर, दैट इज अर्जेंटीना, चिली एंड उरुग्वे. वन कैन थिंक लाइक कि इंडिया का भी सदर्न पार्ट जो है सदर्न कोन. अब ये लॉजिक आपका गलत भी निकल सकता है. यू कैन गेट इट रॉन्ग ऑल्सो, क्योंकि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट इसको भी मार्क करेंगे. बट दिस इज नॉट करेक्ट. डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर, सदर्न कोन. ऑल राइट, फाइन. Then question number 92, reverse and drain into. This is standard pattern of asking question from the static part, mapping section. Yes, so reverse Irrawaddy river, even in past UPSC has asked about Irrawaddy river. It is very important river of Southeast Asia, Myanmar region. ठीक है, Irrawaddy it does not drain into Gulf of Thailand. Mekong river वहाँ से flow होता है, उधर से South China Sea से. Irrawaddy Bay of Bengal, it drains into Bay of Bengal, so it is incorrectly matched. Rio Grande, it is very important river. It makes boundary between US and Mexico. Rio Grande, it is, we can say, draining into Gulf of Mexico. This is correct. Niger, yes, very important river of Western Africa, and it drains into Gulf of Guinea. ये correctly matched है, हम बोल सकते हैं. दो pairs correctly matched है. Answer would be B. B is the correct answer. 93 question number. Yes. In the context of volcanic landforms, the Old Faithful refers to. Now this is from G.C. Leong, although it is not given in NCERT, but it is very, very famous, we can say, tourist destination, and let's say those who are willing to visit and see the world's wonder, nature's wonder of, we can say, volcanic landforms. It is talking about the volcanic landform. A geyser, which is, we can say, erupts periodically. That's why the name Old Faithful. कहाँ पर है ये? Yellowstone National Park, USA. Yellowstone National Park, USA. Okay, very famous one. So geyser, example of geyser. B is the correct answer. All right. Now, next 94. Regarding ports, there was question in 2023 also, and factual information they are asking in the let's say economic geography, ports related information. Kolkata port is the only riverine major port in India. This is correct. There are total 13 major ports in the country, and regarding that only the question is framed. Kolkata port is the only riverine, बाकी जो है sea ports है. Yes, Deen Dayal port is the only corporatized major port in India. Deen Dayal port जो गुजरात में है, this is incorrect. Only corporatized Kamarajar, which is also called as Ennore, port of Ennore. ठीक है, जो north of Chennai है. right? So this is incorrect. Now Tamil Nadu is the only state in India having 3 major ports. This is easy, no? So Ennore is there, Chennai is there, and Tuticorin, southern part, Tuticorin. So these 3 major ports are located in Tamil Nadu. दूसरे कोई ऐसे इसमें 3 मेजर पोर्ट नहीं है, 2 हो सकता है बट 3 नहीं है. ओके, सो only 2 statements are correct. B is the correct answer here. B is the correct answer. Then question number 95. Yes, this term was in news. ZUD, D-Z-U-D. ZUD is basically a kind of weather condition, or we can say the meteorological condition, a severe winter weather phenomenon in Central Asia, which leads to significant livestock mortality. Now, why this happens? Because of severe winter condition, or we can say that very cold temperatures, harsh temperature, the land is covered with ice. And for livestock, there is no, we can say, feed available because it is covered with ice. And in such situation, if it is remaining for long period of time, the livestock is not having feed. Even the, let's say, the wild animals which are dependent on feeding on the grass, they also die. So large scale mortality happens. This is called as ZUD, this phenomenon. A is the correct answer about this. Alright, so these are the geography questions. Alright, let's now talk about the environment section also. And as the UPSC is following the trend of asking some random questions regarding species, or let's say somehow they are asking difficult questions on pollutants also. So we have continued that trend in this test also. So because जैसे UPSC follow कर रहा है trend, हम भी चाहते हैं कि students को वो idea रहे कि किस तरीके से question पूछ रहे हैं. Now regarding the international initiatives with reference to global carbon project. All right, this global carbon project is let's say important project which keeps track on trends of emissions on certain greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide is there, methane is there, and even nitrous oxide, N2O. Okay, nitrous oxide, which is also we can say greenhouse gas. So let's have a look at this. It is let's say global research project of WMO and UNFCCC. This is incorrect. It is the global research project of Future Earth, a non-profit we can say organization working for research in the climate change and this area. This is incorrect. It keeps track on trends of emissions of carbon dioxide, methane only लिखा हुआ है. This is incorrect. It also tracks the emissions of nitrous oxide. So we have to identify the correct statement, neither one nor two. That is D is the correct answer. Important international initiatives related to climate change, environment protection, biodiversity conservation. Very, very important for our examination. Regarding species, Indian bears. So there are total 4 species of bear found in India. We can say Asiatic black bear, Himalayan brown bear, then sloth bear, and 4th one is sun bear. ठीक है. So among all Indian bears, only sloth bear is endemic to Indian subcontinent. Now this is incorrect. Okay, so for Indian subcontinent, Asiatic black bear and Himalayan brown bear, so they are endemic to Indian subcontinent. This is incorrect. All Indian bears are Myrmecophagous as they feed on ants and termites only. तो ये all नहीं है इसमें. Yes, only we can say that sun bear. Only sun bear is we can say Myrmecophagous, and it feeds on we can say solely on ants and termites. बाकी के जो है बाकी अलग-अलग animals, जैसे brown bear है तो वो it kills animals and it eats those animals also. All or fish also. All Indian bears hibernate throughout the winter. No, only Himalayan Asiatic black bear and Himalayan brown bear ये hibernate करते हैं throughout winter. We can say winter. These two do not hibernate during the winter. Throughout the winter we can say. So this is incorrect. तो तीनों statement incorrect है. None of these is correct. D is the answer. ठीक है? D is the answer. All right. Yes. How many of the above pollutants are generally released from brick kilns? ठीक है। ब्रिक किन्स, जो ब्रिक्स तैयार करने की फैक्ट्री होती है, आप देखते हैं बहुत सारा पोल्यूशन होता है उससे, चिमनी से बहुत धुआं निकलता है, अब सिटी के बाहर निकलते हैं तो बहुत सारे ब्रिक किन्स होते हैं। सो हाउ मेनी ऑफ द अबव पोल्यूटेंट्स, ऐसे सिचुएशन में आप लॉजिक यूज करके ऑल कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज हियर most of the pollutants mentioned like brown carbon, black carbon, oxides of sulfur, particulate matter PM 2.5, PM 10, methane, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, ये सारा रिलीज होता है। So we can say that all four, that is D is the correct answer, ठीक है। So D is the correct answer here. Now recently the sargassum, which is we can say that a macroalgae, has assumed global significance for being potential renewable source of biohydrogen recovery. That is true. The technology is being explored for harnessing biohydrogen from sargassum, which can be a renewable source, right? So this is correct. Sargassum, a macroalgae, does not require pre-treatment for production of biohydrogen. Now this is incorrect. It requires pre-treatment because it cannot be directly used for this process of recovering the biohydrogen. So this statement is incorrect. Second statement is incorrect. That means we got the answer, that is C. C is the correct answer. Okay, C is the correct answer. Now consider the following protected areas. Flying squirrels, which are known for their remarkable gliding abilities, can be easily spotted in how many of the above mentioned protected areas? Now see, it is not specifically talking about the namdaf of flying squirrels. Most of the students read about flying squirrels as namdafa flying squirrels, या उनको लगता है कि वहीं पे मिलता है, तो आपका आंसर यहाँ पे गलत हो सकता है। Flying squirrels in India have various subspecies, and one of them is namdafa flying squirrel, which is endemic to Namdafa National Park. But others also have this species of flying squirrels, like giant squirrels. Indian giant squirrel is found in Nokrek and Panchamari Reserve. ठीक है, अनामलाई टाइगर रिजर्व में भी एक टाइप का जो है फ्लाइंग स्क्वायरल मिलता है। आप एक्सप्लेनेशन में डिटेल में देखिए, कई तरीके के फ्लाइंग स्क्वायरल्स इंडिया में मिलते हैं अलग अलग एरियाज में। सो ऑल फोर हैव वेरियस स्पीसीज ऑफ फ्लाइंग स्क्वायरल्स, दे कैन बी स्पॉटेड इन दीज प्रोटेक्टेड एरियाज। डी इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर, ठीक है। Next question. Some of the environmentalists argue in favor of using natural refrigerant given their extremely low global warming potential. At present, the HFCs that we are using, they although they are not let's say ozone depleting substances, but they are potent greenhouse gases, or we can say they have very high global warming potential. And now many of the industries are shifting from these HFCs to hydrofluoroolefins, ठीक है, HFC से डिराइव करके, बट इसका जो है ग्लोबल वार्मिंग पोटेंशियल जो है कंपैरेटिवली कम होता है, बट दे आर नॉट नेचुरल रेफ्रिजरेंट। नेचुरल रेफ्रिजरेंट्स आर बेसिकली दोज गैसेस और सब्सटेंसेस which are also naturally found, जैसे अमोनिया इज देयर, नेचुरली गैस होता है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड नेचुरली गैस होता है, इवन सम ऑफ द हाइड्रोकार्बन्स लाइक प्रोपेन और आइसोब्यूटेन, they are naturally found in atmosphere. So if we are using them, somehow they will be recycled as a part of biogeochemical cycles, and that can result into, we can say, reduced level of greenhouse effect or global warming. But these are not natural refrigerants, so we can say that fourth one is not there. C is the correct answer. Only 3. All right. 67. With reference to cheetahs, which one of the following statement is correct? जब से cheetah reintroduction project implement हुआ है, UPSC has not yet asked the question seriously asking about the details of cheetah. So such kind of characteristic based question can be asked. The leader of group of cheetah is female. We have to identify the correct statement. So this is incorrect. Why? Because cheetahs are let's say solitary animals, or they do not form the group. तो अकेले रहते हैं हम बोल सकते हैं। कभी कभी जो है मेल चीता 2 or 3 ग्रुप they can form and hunt together, but female cheetahs live all alone. So this is incorrect. Their maximum gestation period can be of 2 months. This is incorrect. It is 93 days. That means about 3 months. 93 days. Remember this. Now, they prefer to hunt mostly during night. Again, it is incorrect. They prefer to hunt during day so as to reduce competition with their other competitors, predators, which prefers to hunt at evening or night time. Like जैसे tigers है, leopards है, तो evening या night time पे ज़्यादा active रहता है hunting के लिए या early morning में. Now, at present, Iran is the only country to host the population of Asiatic cheetah. This is correct, we can say. And now in India, हमने reintroduce किया हुआ है. Natural population जो है सिर्फ ईरान में है. So D is the correct answer here because that is the only correct statement here. Now, question number 68. Bubble net feeding is the unique behavior exhibited by which one of the following species? Such kind of question they are asking. Last year you can see the waggle dance कौन से species करता है या particular tool is used by which of the following species? Bubble net feeding is the unique behavior of humpback whale. जैसे आपको ये क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं आ रहा है तो आप इसमें अटेम्प्ट मत कीजिए, ठीक है, तो क्योंकि नहीं पता है आपको तो आप स्किप करिए. जैसे लास्ट ईयर ये स्किप करना था वैगल डांस, नहीं पता क्यों अटेम्प्ट कर रहे हैं? Why to attempt? Because it is having most chances that it will get negative marks. Humpback whale. So let me explain this bubble net feeding. What happens here is one of the humpback whale will dive deep into the sea and have bubbles, and these bubbles will try to move up towards the surface of ocean. Now, because of this behavior, the group of fish species will be attracted towards that particular location, and other humpback whales in that group will try to surround this group of fish species and then catch them and feed on them. This behavior is called as bubble net feeding. B is the correct answer. Humpback whale. ठीक है, all right. 69. Biotransformation technology. Something which is related to biotechnology, something related to clean technology, green technology, or we can say reducing the pollution, how to deal or tackle with the pollution. ये सारी चीजें हमारे prelims के लिए important है. Biotransformation technology is being talked about for complete biodegradation of plastic waste. This is correct because whatever the methods that we employ at present, it is not resulting into complete biodegradation of plastic. Somehow some plastic is remaining in the atmosphere, or we can say the ecosystem that is harming its we can say processes and elements. So A is the correct answer about biotransformation technology. It is being explored as the new green technology. ठीक है. 70. Threatened species, natural habitats. Standard question. ठीक है. Lion tail macaque everyone knows. सदर्न इंडिया में जो ट्राई जंक्शन है, ईस्टर्न घाट्स और वेस्टर्न घाट्स, नीलगिरीज, तो वेस्टर्न घाट्स हम बोल सकते हैं इट इज द स्टैंडर्ड नेचुरल हैबिटेट ऑफ लायन टेल मैकैक्स. गोल्डन लंगूर नॉर्थ ईस्ट इंडिया, ईस्टर्न घाट्स लिखा हुआ है, दिस इज इनकरेक्ट. मानस टाइगर रिजर्व, मानस बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व in Assam is famous location for finding this in their natural habitat. So this is incorrect. Pallas's cat not found in Banni grasslands. It is found in Himalayan region, especially Ladakh, Himachal Pradesh, ठीक है, cold desert region जिसको हम बोलते हैं, वहाँ पे मिलता है ये, ठीक है. So this is incorrect. Binturong is found in northeast India. This is correct. We can say it is a kind of, it looks like bear cat बोला जाता है इसको, ठीक है, bear cat की तरह दिखता है, but it is a cat species kind of. Binturong, so it is found in northeast. तो दो correctly matched है, दो incorrectly matched है, so answer would be B here, right? Now yes, 81. Now, the mountains lying within the tropics contain highest biodiversity on the earth. The more heterogeneous the geological composition of mountains is, the more biodiverse they are. ठीक है, so let's try to understand here. आपको लग सकता है because you know, as we learn in NCERT, biodiversity goes on decreasing from equator to pole in general. But the mountains are exception to this, and this particular, let's say, concept was explained by Humboldt as the concept of Humboldt's enigma. In one of the AIPMTs also, we had directly asked this Humboldt's enigma. It is indirectly asked in this question. Humboldt's enigma explains that despite of, let's say, location of mountains in the higher latitude, they have very high level of biodiversity. Okay, in general, biodiversity goes on decreasing from equator to poles, but despite of some mountains located in higher latitudes, they experience or they have more biodiversity. Like mountains lying within the tropics contain highest biodiversity. Incorrect. And from that only we get the answer here, that is D is the correct answer. Why? Because the heterogeneous the geological composition of mountains, the more biodiverse they are, because the the type of vegetation that is found in different locations in these mountains according to altitude goes on changing, and because of that the vegetation, the soil type, all this changes, dependent lives like different species, that also goes on changing, and this is how more biodiversity is observed, okay, even in higher latitudes in mountains. So this is correct, we can say answer is D here. Now 82, Petersburg Climate Dialogue. Consider the following statements about Petersburg Climate Dialogue. Yes, it was co-hosted by governments of Germany and UAE in the 2023. This is correct. It led to launch of Biofuel Alliance, Global Biofuels Alliance as a part of Green Development Pact. No, Global Biofuel Alliance जो है G20 के साइडलाइंस में इंडिया में जो समिट हुआ था 2023 में, तो वहां पर ग्लोबल बायोफ्यूल अलायंस लॉन्च हुआ है. दिस इज इनकरेक्ट. वी हैव टू आइडेंटिफाई द करेक्ट स्टेटमेंट. सो पीटर्सबर्ग क्लाइमेट डायलॉग 2023. सो ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर हियर. ए इज द करेक्ट आंसर. नाउ regarding the forever chemicals or substances, they are also called as per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. Forever chemicals used in such situations, you can use the logic and mark all as an answer. Even in past UPSC has asked such kind of questions. Forever chemicals are those chemicals which tend to remain in the environment for long period of time. They are not easily biodegradable or chemically degradable. Naturally degradable जिसको हम बोलते हैं. That's why they are called as forever chemicals. They can be harmful because of bioaccumulation, biomagnification, and harming different species. So dental floss, grease resistant clothing, or microwave popcorn bags, या फिर नॉन स्टिक कुकवेयर, bandages, all these have some kind of, we can say, forever chemicals. So D is the correct answer. ठीक है. Question number 84. Now we know about the bioremediation techniques in situ and ex situ. जो bioremediation techniques होते हैं. What is bioremediation? Bio means it is using some microorganisms, living beings, for remediation. Remediation means some polluted environment is there, and to remove the pollutants from that environment and reduce its impact, the biological agents are used, microorganisms are used. तो उसको bioremediation बोला गया है. Right. So ex situ and in situ methods are there, like for example biosparging and bioventing, bioaugmentation. These are, we can say, in situ. इन सीटू मतलब क्या है? उसी लोकेशन पे जो है उसको ट्रीट किया जा रहा है, जहां पर पोल्यूटेड एनवायरनमेंट है वहीं पे उसको ट्रीट किया जा रहा है. बट एक्स सीटू इज मींस दैट वी आर टेकिंग आउट दैट एनवायरनमेंट, लाइक लेट्स से पोल्यूटेड सॉइल इज देयर, जहां पर समझो क्रूड ऑयल है, क्रूड ऑयल स्पिल हुआ है, तो कोस्टल एरियाज में जो है वो खराब हुआ है, पोल्यूटेड हुआ है. So we can take out that particular soil or the ocean water, and then it can be let's say treated or removed. Let's say all that oil can be removed, and further it can be brought back and spread in the coastal areas. ठीक है, तो उसको बोला गया एक्स सीटू, लाइक बायो रिएक्टर, बायो पाइलिंग, बायो फार्मिंग, ठीक है, बायो कंपोस्टिंग. ऑल दीज आर एक्स सीटू. तो दो एक्स सीटू, दो इन सीटू लिखा हुआ है इसमें, तो आंसर वुड बी बी, दैट इज वी कैन से 2 ओनली. Right. And the last question for today is national parks and the associated geographical features. Okay, so means these geographical features are located in these national parks, like Kaziranga National Park. So yes, Bura Pahad range is located in Kaziranga National Park, Assam. Okay, so this is correctly matched. Banerghatta National Park is located near Bangalore. Karnataka. Anekal range, mountain range is located there. This is correct. Mukurti National Park. Okay, so Kolari Betta National Park. ठीक है, तो वहां पर ये located है. So this all three are correctly matched. ठीक है, all three are correctly matched. So answer would be C here. Answer would be C. ठीक है, तो थोड़ा specific information demand कर रहा है. You can skip this question. So you should know which question is to be attempted and which question is to be skipped, so as to understand that in examination you do not get more negative marks. This was the major, we can say, idea last year that you should have implemented in the paper. Fine. If you have any question, ask in the comment box of this video and we'll try to address that query. Fine. Okay.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the questions of Panchsutra 4 in your All India Prelims test. So we are going to start with the history section. There are in total 15 questions which we are going to discuss from the history and culture section, which is question number 1 to 10 and question number 76 to 80. So the first question is related to culture, where we are going to, or we are asking you a question from the classical dance. So the question is having 3 statements and we have to identify that how many of these statements are correct with reference to the Mohiniyattam dance form. So let us read out the statements. First, it is essentially a solo dance performance by women that gained prominence under the patronage of the Vijayanagar and Golconda rulers. So from the very first reading or glance, you should be clear whether it is actually correct statement or not. So we find that Mohiniyattam, a dance form, did not acquired, it is prominent even today in Kerala. So where should it be? And Golconda rulers would never patronize what you can say Mohiniyattam. And Golconda was a successor state of Bahmani kingdom. So this raises a doubt. Vijayanagar is much later. Much later, this Mohiniyattam was revived, or what you can say acquired classical form, and this was under the patronage of Travancore. Travancore was an important state which was present even during the what you can say when Europeans have arrived in India and they started colonizing India. So this is factually wrong. If they have given in the statement Travancore, we would have said this statement is correct. So this goes wrong. Second statement is Atavakul and Tribhang posture are basic dance movements in this dance form. So when we talk about Mohiniyattam, Mohiniyattam means, Mohini here means the form of Lord Vishnu which he acquired, a disguised form, in order to please the demons and ensure that their attention is diverted and the nectar which was obtained from the sea could be distributed easily or peacefully among the gods or devatas. So Atta means dance or drama. So Mohiniyattam is nothing but the graceful dance or dramatic expressions performed by a lady to please someone. Right. So second is Atavakul. So Atavakul and Atavus are 40 styles of dance or form dance within Mohiniyattam. So they are the dance movements basically. So if we look at this statement, the factual incorrectness lies over here. Tribhanga is an important posture. In prelims, a question has been also asked from this. Tribhanga means, tri means three, bhanga means some kind of distortion. So from a bend. So when the body is bent from 3 places, that position or posture is called Tribhanga. Lord Krishna playing flute and is standing position, and where he is having a band on his neck, waist and knee is example of Tribhanga posture. Tribhanga pose is very important aspect of what we can say Odissi dance, not Mohiniyattam. This is the problem. Here Atavus would have been the word that would have been placed, then this entire statement would have been correct. Therefore, due to this particular word, this statement becomes wrong. Then the third one is, there is a marked absence of thumping of footsteps while the footwork is gentle. So, is this statement correct? Yes. In some dance forms, like what you can say Kathak or Bharatanatyam, there is thumping of, Bharatanatyam especially, there is thumping of footsteps. This is absent in Mohiniyattam, because Mohiniyattam is a very graceful, mild form of classical dance where the footwork is also gentle. Right. So, this statement is correct. So, what could be the answer? Of the above statements, how many are correct? We can say only one. So, A becomes the answer. Now, for details, if you want to know more about Mohiniyattam, either you can refer to Lukman's booklet on the notes on art and culture, or you have got enough explanation in this which you get in the printed form. Right. Now, we go to the next question. The second question is an interesting question which is also related to culture, where we have provided you a list of UNESCO's intangible, what you can say, cultural heritage. Means intangible means something which does not physically exist, but it can be seen or observed in some other forms. So, here this is the list of some items. 4 items are given, and you have to identify where they are found or exist. Are they correctly matched with their corresponding states in this list? So, Modiyettu, more or less these are, I think, some kind of folk or religious dance forms or activities. So, Modiyettu is found in which state? The option given over here is Tamil Nadu. But is it correct? No. Here we can say this belongs to Kerala, not Tamil Nadu. So, this option becomes wrong. Kalbelia is a tribe found in Rajasthan, and it also performs a dance form which is like a folk dance. It is a community of snake charmers basically. So, it is related to Rajasthan, therefore, this is correct. Right? Sankirtan. Sankirtan is when you sit together, you recite the name of the god, and sometimes it is in group, and musical instruments are used of different kinds. So, Manipur is one place where you find Sankirtan. Sankirtan became very popular under Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in West Bengal. Sankirtan is an important form of devotional music even today in North India. If you go to Vrindavan or such places, you will find people performing Sankirtan. Sankirtan, right. So, this statement is correct. Now, you are having some question?
Yes, sir. I have heard of your presentation way. First one is Hari Kirtan, and you're talking about Sankirtan. So, what is the difference between
Both or more or less mean the same. Sankirtan means Sang plus Kirtan. When you are in the company, Sang, kisi ka saath, you are in the company of people and you are reciting the name of the god. When you are specially reciting the name of only Hari, Lord Vishnu or his incarnations like Lord Krishna, then it is Hari Kirtan, right? So, Sankirtan belongs to Manipur. Raman, is it an intangible cultural heritage belonging to Kerala? No, this is in North India and you hear about it in Uttarakhand. If you want more details, read the explanations. So, what we find, this is not wrong, this is not right. So, 1 and 4 are wrong, 2 and 3 are correct. So, what should be the answer? How many of the pairs given above are correctly matched? We would say only 2, right? So, now we go to the third question. The third question is a very straight question. It is a factual question. Either you know it or you don't know it. It is only a matter of paying attention. So, the third question is asking you that at present there are 22 languages mentioned in the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution. Now, you have to find out of this list which one of the following languages is not included in that list. So, if you clearly see, you will feel that all of them are included. But as I said, it is a factual question. If you have paid enough attention in the past, then you will be able to mark it correctly. Odia is a language which is definitely there. Why it is there? Because it is one of the important languages of India and it has been assigned a classical status. Among the 6 languages assigned classical status in India, Odia is the latest one. It got that status in 2006 AD. Kashmiri also is included in the list of 22 languages of the 8th schedule. Sindhi is there. Rajasthani has not been given that status. Why? The reason is simple. It is spoken in an area where it is taken as a very regional kind of dialect and where people speak standard form of Hindi. So, Rajasthani is not yet identified or there has not been demand that it is a distinct form of language. It is still considered more of a dialect. That's why it is not there. So, A is the answer. So, which one of the following languages is not among them? We would say Rajasthani. Now, we go to the 4th question. The 4th question is also a very straight kind of question. It is from ancient India and we have to see that the 2 terms given over here in the context of ancient India, Pustapal and Karanika refer to which of the following? When you read these 4 options, I think intelligent guess, otherwise proper knowledge, both can help in solving this question and there is no reason that you should be committing a mistake over here. So, they were like, these terms are related to superintendence of weight and measures? No. Traditional term for Buddhist scriptures? No. Tripitaka they are called and there are other words used for them. Assembly of Brahmin land owners? No. There are different words used for them. Agraharia could be one. That was an officer, basically Agrahar was the land given and Varyam was a assembly of people in South India under the Cholas. So, somehow this does not relate to these 2 terms. If you look at the terms, Pust means Pustak, books. It is related to book or record keeping. And Karanika, Kara means text. So, keeping the text, what you can say, record of the text is his or her responsibility. So, they are the terms used for the officials who were employed by the state in ancient times as record keepers of land transactions. So, and this you see during the time of Gupta period, such terms being used by the Gupta administrators, right, or in Gupta times. Now, we go to the next question, the 4th question. The 5th question is a pair type question and what we have to do? Here is given the list of 3 kingdoms or dynasties and the list of capitals. We have to identify whether they are correctly matched or not. See, Vakatakas were an important successors in the Deccan region of the Satavahanas. Their capital was lying in that region and Vatshgulma is the capital. That's true. V for Vakataka and V for Vatshgumla. You remember this. It's more or less a factual question. So, this is correct. Maitraka dynasty is also an important dynasty that emerged in Gujarat and Jainism thrived a lot during their times and Gujarat became a center for patronage of Jainism as well as for learning and the capital of Maitrakas was that center of learning, trade and commerce. Pratishthan is not the answer. Maitrakas, their capital was Ballavi. Today it is called Vala. And Pratishthan, if you know, was the capital, Pathan, of whom? Another dynasty, what you call Satavahanas. So it was the capital of Satavahanas. Today it is called Pathan. Pathani sari is very famous from Maharashtra, right? Then comes another dynasty, so this is not correct. Pushyabhuti. Pushyabhuti is said to be the first name known to us from that dynasty to which belonged Harshvardhan, the last important ruler of ancient India. among the Hindu kingdoms in north. So Manakhet. So Pushyabhutins started ruling from Thaneshwar, which is a place in Kurukshetra district in Haryana. Later, Harsh merged his territories with that of the Maukharis, and their capital, Maukhari capital, was Kannauj, and Kannauj became his capital. It was also known as Kanekabj in ancient times. So it is not Manakhet. Manakhet or Malkhed was the capital of the Rashtrakutas, who were the successor of the Chalukyas. So, how many of the pairs given above are correctly matched? We would say only one. A becomes the answer of question number 5. Now, we move towards the 6th question. 6th question is also related to ancient India, and you have to identify which of the following dynasty is being mentioned in the above paragraph. So there is given one paragraph, and you have to identify among these 4 dynasties given as options, this paragraph relates to which one of them. So let us read the paragraph. They are believed to have originated from the Deccan region. So first thing is their location is Deccan, with their early capital situated in Vidarbha, which corresponds to parts of present day Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Right? They were the most important successors of the Satavahanas. So successor of Satavahanas, I just mentioned. Vakatakas were the successors in that region. Not any other dynasty is having this profile. So Satavahanas in the Deccan and coexistent with the Guptas. If you remember, Chandragupta II married his daughter Prabhavati with one of the rulers of the Vakataka dynasty and strengthened his position. Right? So Vakatakas are contemporaries of Guptas in North India. The exquisite cave paintings and sculptures in many of the paintings and sculptures in Ajanta, Ellora and Elephanta caves are a testament to their contribution. Means they would have patronized them to Indian art and culture. So the answer is very clear. This paragraph is clearly devoted to Vakataka dynasty, because the location of Rashtrakutas is a bit southern. It is more in northern Karnataka and adjoining areas of Maharashtra, and they reached up to one of their branches, or they reached up to Gujarat, borders of Gujarat. Pandya dynasty was in deep south. Chalukyas were ruling in the same area where Rashtrakutas succeeded them. They were having 3 branches. The main branch was in Badami or Vatapi, that was the capital in Karnataka. They ruled from Kalyani also, and they were in Barangal also. One of the dynasties was in Gujarat also, right? So the most appropriate answer is Vaka dynasty, because Chalukyas, Rashtrakutas and Pandyas, none of them, Rashtrakutas and Chalukyas are not the contemporaries of Guptas. Pandyas, even if they existed in ancient times, had no direct relation or connection in any form with the Guptas. Neither they contributed in this Ajanta, Ellora and Elephanta caves. Right? So the answer is Vakataka dynasty. C. Question number 6 is having C as its answer. Now we move towards the 7th question. So here 2 statements are given, and you have to identify which one of the following is correct in respect of the above statement. Means there are 4 options given, and you have to see whether statement 1 and 2 are correct and statement 2 is the right explanation of statement 1 or not. So let us read out the statements. This is related to the Indus Valley civilization. So statement 1 says, the Indus Valley civilization witnessed centralized authority and urban quality of life. Centralized authority and urban quality of life are 2 very important terminologies which you have to focus upon. So Indus Valley civilization was definitely an urbanized civilization. It passed through 3 phases. The mature phase, we can say, is the urban phase, which is between 2600 BC to 1900 BC. And it is reflected in the form of existence of various important, towns which were centers of administration, industrial production or exchange, like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Chanudaro, Dhalavira, Rakhigadi, many such sites are found, right? So this is perfectly correct. we see certain amount of uniformity in these urban centers in terms of weighted measures, in terms of town planning. The basic idea that there should be an upper town. In most of the towns and cities you find this, so that is called citadel, and the lower area is the lower town. There could be slight differences between in the plans between different cities, but the basic idea is more or less the same. There is a uniformity. In the seals also you find that in the crafts, pottery also you find that. Therefore we can say that there was some kind of authority that guided all these centers. There was some kind of centralization in terms of certain rules, regulations being implemented everywhere with same amount of force or discipline. So that way this statement appears correct. Now the statement second, what it is saying, the Indus Valley civilization featured a standard script. This script is found in all the cities wherever we have got some evidence in the form of seals or signboards or any other thing, right? Standardized weights and measures, as I have already mentioned that, and efficient public administration system. What is the, how we can say there was an efficient public administration? There was some kind of municipal system where you see by virtue of that, things were very well administered in every city. There are examples of very well organized drainage system with manholes and drains running parallelly with the main streets, and each house having its drain connected with the main drain on the street. This is possible only through proper system of public administration. There was a proper system of collection of taxes, especially in kind, and we see that whatever was collected in kind was processed in the citadel, and the grains would have been distributed in the times of emergency, or otherwise they would have been used for trade and exchange, right? This was possible. We find granaries and small quarters in citadel areas of Harappa and such places, which gives us that indication. So there are many features which show the grid pattern which is there, proper town planning is there in most of the cities. That could not be possible, their maintenance and continuity, without having an efficient public administration system. We could not have this uniformity in weights and measures also without a good public administration system. So this statement is also correct, and to a great extent this statement 2 is supporting or explaining statement second. So what should be the option? The right answer, let us read the first option. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. That is true, both of them are correct, and statement 2 is the correct explanation for statement 1. So statement 2 is justifying or supporting or in a way explaining statement 1. Therefore answer becomes A. We need not to go even to the other options, but this is not good idea. We must read all the options and then only mark the right option. So statement the second option is saying B, both statements are correct, but statement 2 is not the correct explanation of for statement 1. So this is the wrong part. We don't accept this. Statement 2 is incorrect. No. Statement statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is incorrect. ऐसा भी नहीं है. Statement 1 is incorrect and but statement 2 is correct. ऐसा भी नहीं है. Both the statements are correct, so these are ruled out. Here the problem is the second part of this option. Therefore only A is the answer, becomes the right answer. Now we go to the 8th question. The 8th question is interesting question. It is related to medieval Indian history. Here you have been given 2 statements and you have to identify among these 2 statements which one of them is correct or both of them are correct or not. Let us see their status. Check out. Okay, na? So first is Zaat. You would have heard about Mansabdari system, which was a system of hierarchy which was created or implemented by Akbar for the nobility, which decided that what is the mansab or rank or status of a particular noble or official in that hierarchy, and accordingly salaries and other what you can say things were assigned to them. Salary means mostly jagir, land assigned to them for the purpose of their maintenance. So Zaat indicated the rank of the Mansabdar in administration, whereas Sawar indicated the cavalry rank of Mansabdar. So what is a Sawar? Sawar means a trooper, a person who is riding on the horse, part of the cavalry. So you will see that most, because it was in a way military state, the military strength decided the power of the emperor. So he will assign every noble a rank in the hierarchy, and every noble, the general term used for them was Mansabdar, but there were three categories. If you look at the hierarchy, it will be like this. A pyramidal structure is there, because the senior officers are less in number, so this becomes a pyramidal structure. So you will see most of the officers were, what you can say, lying at the lower level, and their Zat rank, personal status was, say, a number is assigned to them, 500 or below. They were called Mansabdars, officers at the lower level. Because they are in the largest number, that's why this system is called Mansabdari system. Then there are middle level officers, they were the nobles and they were called Amirs. So Amir is the word used for nobles or at the middle level, and their Zat rank would generally lie somewhere between, what you can say, 500 to 2500 Zat, right? Now, at the topmost level was the nobles called Amir-e-Umda. Amir-e-Umda. Umda means best, so topmost. Their Zat rank generally was between 2500 to 5000. But there are exceptions. Some of the senior most members of the nobility or government were assigned even higher Jats, but that was exception. Like Man Singh, who was the son-in-law and general of the Akbar's army, was assigned the Jat rank of 7000, right? So this is generally applicable, and these people were assigned civil as well as military responsibilities. So what Zat you have, that decides your status in this hierarchy, right? And you can be assigned, and generally most of the officers were assigned the responsibility of maintaining troops. So the number of troops could be more than the Zat rank or even less than the Zat rank, depending on what kind of responsibilities they have been given, more of military responsibilities or civil responsibilities. A better explanation has been given to you in the printed form when you receive the handout, right? So first statement is Zat indicated the rank of the Mansabdar in administration, whereas Sawar indicated the cavalry rank or the rank of maintaining troops of Mansabdar. This is true. Then a Mansabdar's position in the official hierarchy was only decided by the Zat rank. As I have already said, in the hierarchy his position is decided by the Zat rank. Sawar rank decides the number of troops which he is going to maintain. So this is also true. So which of the statements given above is correct? We will say both 1 and 2. So C becomes the answer for question number 8. Now we go to the 9th question. 9th question is again a very straight factual kind of question. So it is also related to medieval history. The question says, in the context of medieval history, Tariqa and Tarifa refer to which of the following? So there are 4 options given. These terms relate to which one of them, you have to ask. So Tariqa means way of doing certain things, style, you can say. Tarifa means something related to popularity, or where you tarif, it is similar to the word tarif, where people recognize you, right, or follow you. So Tariqa and Tarifa refer to which of the following? Were they military officers of Sultanate period? No, no such term has been used for Sultanate period. There is always a word used like Mere Saman, Mere Bakshi, this kind of, so this is not applicable. Stages of Sufi movement? Yes. There are 3 stages of Sufi movement. Tariqa, Tarifa are the stages among them. Severe ascetic exercises by Sufi saints? No. Territory allocated for educational purposes? No. So, stages of Sufi movement were having this. First stage was called Khanka. Khanka was the place where a Sufi saint or Pir resided. Most of the times they preferred family life, not renunciation of the worldly life. They stayed there with their family, and their disciples also used to stay there or visit them, and their followers used to visit that place. That place was called Khanka. That was the first stage. And this starts from the 10th century, and Sufism emerges in Central Asia. Later it spreads to other parts of the world, and it comes to India as well. In the second stage, that is visible in the 11th and 14th century AD, we get to call it Tariqa, where Sufism acquires a form of institution and traditions and symbols are attached to it. And separate traditions and symbols give a distinct identity to a particular, what you can say, Sufi saint and his followers. That is called silsila. There were around 12 important orders that prevailed in India. One of the most popular was Chishti. Some other names are Naqshbandi, Roshnaya, and Sohrawardi, right? The third stage was called Tarifa. So Tariqa is second stage, Tarifa is the third stage. First is Khanka. So Tarifa is visible during the Mughal period in the 15th century, or you can say by the end of the Sultanate period, you can say. At this stage, Sufism became a very popular movement, and it became quite popular, many of the silsilas during Mughal period. So, by the end of Delhi Sultanate period, they start gaining popularity in the country, and they become even much more popular during the Mughal period. Bahmani kingdom, you get the name of Geshu Daraj, one of the Sufi saints. So this is called Tarifa, means they are getting popularity. They are getting large number of followers, right? So what could be the answer? Answer is very simple, A, stages of Sufi movement. There are some other words related to Sufis like Malfuzat and all these terms you must pay attention to, and sometimes in pre or mains they ask, there is a possibility of asking questions, because culture section is getting very much prominence in both prelims and main examination. Now we go to the 10th question. The 10th question is in the form of 3 statements, and it relates to the, what you can say, modern Indian history. And you have to identify that among these statements, how many or which of them are correct. So let us read the statements and try to find out. See, statement 1. The Indian Universities Act 1904. So actually the question is asking you, consider the following statements regarding the measures taken by Lord Curzon. Lord Curzon was the Viceroy from 1899 to 1905. He is remembered for his imperialistic and divisive activities. So whatever measures were taken during his time were they smelled of sheer imperialism. So first act is the Indian Universities Act 1904 was passed to bring the universities under the supervision of the government. Actually, there was a commission appointed in 1902 called Raleigh Commission. It submitted its report and it was accepted by Curzon, because Curzon would find the universities as the breeding ground for the young people joining as students, and they were the breeding grounds for nationalism, and he wanted to curtail that spirit amongst the youth, and that could happen only when imperialist control was tightened around the universities. So this act was passed. That is correct. Now, the Cooperative Credit Societies Act 1904 was passed to induce the people to form societies for the purpose of deposits and loans. This is also true. The corporate activities were meant, there was a problem which was prevalent in India, where the moneylenders will take advantage of the vulnerable position of the peasants. And when the moneylenders and other small people want to have access to money for fulfilling various kind of needs or pay taxes, they will go to the moneylenders. Moneylenders will charge exorbitant, very high rates of interest. To make their life easy, this act was passed. So this was not that bad an act, it is acceptable. But this happened during the Curzon's time. So it is an exceptional thing done during the time of Curzon, which appears to be somehow helping the people. Otherwise, most of them were anti-India, anti-people kind of things. Now then comes the Calcutta Corporation Act 1899 was passed to reduce the number of elected legislatures and increase the number of nominated officials. This was again a great example of imperialism and the tendency to control Indians. See, Calcutta Corporation has become a great example of elected members who were Indians, who were doing great job, and some amount of democracy was visible. And this did not go well with many of the British businessmen because they felt the contracts by Indians were giving for development like roads, electricity lines and all these things on the basis of merit. While British officials or Europeans wanted those contracts for themselves, not for nothing should go to Indians. So Curzon will pay attention to their request and try to reduce the say of the Indians in a democratic manner in the Calcutta Corporation, and therefore this act was passed. So all these three acts were passed during the time of what you can say Lord Curzon, who was the Viceroy. So all these statements, which you can say, are correct. Answer becomes D. 1, 2 and 3. All the three statements are correct. I am sure that first and 3 will be easily recognized by you. The problem could be with second statement. Why? Because generally you do not come across such facts in normal books. That's why we say read some solid good books where you can get this kind of information, or you must keep good some books as reference books. So one good reference book could be what you can say Shikhar Bandyopadhyay's From Plassey to Partition and Thereafter, or a book which we suggest for optional called History of Modern India, which is published by S. Chand, right? Grover and Mehta, I think, are the writers. So now we go to the next set of questions. 10 questions are finished, 5 are remaining. So 76th question is also related to history and culture in your Panchsutra 4 test. Here it is also related to modern India. Now here what is given, there are mentioned 4 events or organizations or activities, and you have to identify in the context of Indian freedom struggle their sequence. So with reference to the Indian freedom struggle, consider the following events. First event is formation of Hindustan Socialist Republican Association. See, Hindustan Republican Association was formed in 1924. It was rechristened within touch of socialism under the influence of Bhagat Singh and his associates as HSRA in 1928. Right? Now, launch of civil disobedience movement. You know, this was launched in 1930, precisely 12th March 1930 with the Dandi March by Gandhiji. Then foundation of All India Trade Union Congress. It was the first trade union or workers body formed at the Pan India level under the leadership of under the leadership of N.M. Joshi, Narayan Malahar Joshi, Lala Lajpat Rai, and there were some other people who played an important role in that, and that happened in 1920. Now, arrival of Simon Commission in India. You know, this also happened in 1928. Now, because the years are same, there could be difficulty in identifying the right option. But we must try to see what is, now you can just see the options and see if something is easily coming out, it's fine. Otherwise, you will have to know the months also to ensure that what you can say, you do not commit mistake. So what is the correct chronological sequence? You have to ask, see the sequence in which these events took place. So first one is obviously All India Trade Union Congress, 3. So 3 is given in these C and D options. So we can have only one answer, C or D. Now what is the next event? Next event 1928 में हुई, तो आपको problem हो सकती है. So you have so to save yourself from this, you need to know the month. So see, this happened in February of the same year, and this happened in September. So now things becomes more clear. So what should be the option? So after 3 would come obviously 4, February 1928, Simon Commission arrived in India. Then will come 1, that is in September 1928 came emerged or was founded Hindustan Socialist Republican Association, and the end is the civil disobedience movement that starts in 1930. So automatically 3, 4, 1, 2 becomes the sequence or chronological sequence. So D is the answer for question number 76. Now the next question. So such questions, some people are afraid of history just because they say it is related to dates. No, once in a while a question might be asked nowadays related to dates. So these are very important events. You remember easily. The only conflict emerges when sometimes the year is same and you do not remember the months. But if you have read the books correctly, you can have a broad idea which event occurred first in the same year and which event happened later, and some guesswork can also help in doing this. But the best thing is that you remember or you know or you understand the sequence correctly, right? That's why we suggest keep the list of chronology ready, and major events should be revised well so that you do not face difficulty in such questions. Now comes the 77th question. See, 77th question is related to medieval India or we can say it is also related to modern India in a way. So, with reference to the Izardari system. Izara or Izardari is a system which we hear about for the first time during the ending phase of Aurangzeb's rule, and it becomes very prevalent among the later Mughals, where when the nobility became corrupt or the noblesmen, the officials who were also assigned the responsibility of collecting revenue from a particular area, they started giving contracts to people to collect revenue from villages. These people were called Izardars. Anybody who was the highest bidder will be given that responsibility so that they could extract a lot of money from the peasants. The peasant will be the ultimate sufferer. This system was also adopted by the British under Warren Hastings. Later it was abolished in Bengal and nearby areas, replaced with Zamindari system, which was equally what you can say exploitative under Cornwallis. It was implemented in 1793, which was also called permanent settlement, right? So the first, so it is in the context of modern India only, I think this is being asked because Eastern India Company is mentioned in the third option. So let us see. Bidders were mainly zamindars who had no interest in the welfare of peasants and they tried to maximize the profit. This statement appears to be true. You have to be careful what words have been used. Here the bidders were not zamindars. Zamindars or nobles might be giving the contract to other people to collect revenue on their behalf. They were called Izardars. So bidders were mainly Izardars, not Zamindars. This is the factual mistake. Rest of the things might be correct. So this becomes wrong. Now, second question, second statement. During auction, so there was bidding or auction. Bidding for a particular land was assumed to be higher than the actual capacity of land. So the bidder was supposed to make give such a luring offer that the noble or the zamindar who is giving the contract to a bidder should be the highest bidder. And what will happen? The bidder, in the desperation to get the contract, would generally would make such a offer where the what you can say bidding might be higher than the actual capacity of the land, what it produces, and this will create many problems. But this statement is true. Now, the third statement. Officers from the East India Company also participated indirectly in auction through their servants. This is true. This brought corruption into the East India Company. They engaged in private trade and biddings through their servants, and this was stopped much later by the company, but this is true, this happened. So, among the three statements, first one is wrong, second and third are correct. So, we can say how many of the statements given above are among the reasons for the failure of this land revenue system. So, this land revenue system failed due to these two things, this is correct, and we can say that third option, second and third statements are correct. So, answer becomes B, only 2, right? Now, we go to the next question, the 78th question, right? So, what the next question is, it is related to modern India, the 78th question, and it is related to the field of education. So, what the question is saying, with reference to the development of education in colonial India, consider the following statements. And then, after considering these three statements, how many of the statements given above are correct, you have to identify. So, let us read out the statements and try to understand whether they are correct or not. Orientalists. So, you must know who are the Orientalists. Orientalists is derived, this term is derived from the word Oriental. Oriental means the Eastern civilizations, means opposite of Occident or Western civilization. So, the civilizations of Asia were basically Orientalist civilization. India is a part of that. So, Orientalists held that Western education in English was the only way to deliver education to Indians. So, this statement is related to a controversy which emerged in 1830s when William Bentinck is the Governor General of, first Governor General of India, and there is a General Instructions Committee which has been assigned the task of looking into how the money allotted in different charter acts by, to the for the purpose of education is to be used in India, and there were emerging two groups. One of the groups was Anglicists, another was Orientalists. It was the Anglicists who suggested that Western education should be imparted in English. Orientalists said Indian languages and Indian knowledge should be promoted. So, it was not the Orientalists, it was the Anglicists who said so. So, this statement becomes wrong. Wood's Dispatch is considered to be the Magna Carta of education. That is true. It was brought in 1854 and it focused on different dimensions of education in India and which aimed to train British civilians for administrative purposes. It was not meant for training of British civilians for administrative purposes, it was meant for education, and it focused on primary education, secondary education, higher education. 3 universities were established in 3 presidencies, that is Madras, Bombay and Calcutta, under this under the direction of this particular document. And also it suggested attention to be paid to women education. So, this part becomes the wrong of the statement, therefore, then it becomes actually wrong. 3 engineering colleges were opened in the presidencies of Bengal, Bombay and Madras during the rule of Governor General Lord Wellesley. No, this is wrong. Wellesley, there was a college opened for the purpose of training civil servants, but not engineering colleges. This fact would have been correct had it been the name here Canning. Canning was the, what you can say, Governor General of India and later Viceroy also, first Viceroy, last Governor General of India. So, he, last Governor General I will not say, I would say first Viceroy of India under the Government of India Act 1858. So, Canning was there from 56 to 62 after Dalhousie. It was during his time that 3 engineering colleges were opened. So, this also becomes wrong. So, all the 3 statements are wrong with reference to the development of education in colonial India. So, what will be the answer? How many of the statements given above are correct? We will say D, none. Okay. Now, we go to the second last question in the history and culture section, that is the question number 79. This question is also related to modern India, where the focus is on what you can say Swadeshi movement. So, again 3 statements are given and we have to identify that which of these statements are correct on the basis of options available. So, with reference to Swadeshi movement, consider the following. So, first statement is the formal proclamation of the Swadeshi movement was made in August 1905 at Calcutta Town Hall. Yes, this is true. And Aurobindo Ghosh played a very important role in this. And after this, you will see the terms like Swaraj, national education, then Swadeshi will become an important part of Swadeshi movement, and they will be reflected in the resolutions of the Congress which were passed in 1905 and 1906. So, this is true. Second statement, it led to the passing of the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms which is considered as the first move of what you can say British towards self-government of Indians. See, Montagu Chelmsford reforms, they appeared in 1919. It was Morley-Minto reforms which came in the backdrop of Swadeshi movement, where moderates were taken in confidence by the colonial government. They talked to them, right? So this is factually wrong, and which is considered as the first move of British towards self-government in India. So it becomes factually wrong. Now it led to the establishment of the National Council of Education by Aurobindo Ghosh to organize the national education system. Yes, National Education Council of Education was established, but it was not Aurobindo Ghosh. Aurobindo Ghosh established a National Engineering College as the principal of the college. It was established by Satish Chandra Mukherjee. So this becomes a fact, there is a factual mistake. So this statement also becomes wrong. So out of the three statements, only one is correct. So we will say answer is A for question number 79. Now the last question from the history and culture section. The question number is question number 80. So let us see what does it say. Question number 80 is related to modern Indian history, and here again three statements are given. You have to consider these statements regarding Usha Mehta. Usha Mehta is an important personality during the Quit India movement. Among the handful of young leaders, when the movement has underground in the third phase, she played important role. So we have to consider three statements in the context of Usha Mehta. Let us see which of these statements are correct or not correct. How many of the statements are given above are correct in the context of Usha Mehta? First, she organized an underground radio station during the Quit India movement which functioned till the date of independence. It is true that she organized a radio station and to spread the message of what you can say the movement and the idea, or to talk about the idea of India's independence. The Congress messages were spread and they kept on changing their place so that the British could not come after them and capture their equipment. So this happened in Quit India movement, which functioned till the date of independence. That is wrong. It functioned only for 3 months during the movement, not till the date of independence. So there is a factual mistake. So statement 1 becomes wrong in the context of Usha Mehta because there is a factual discrepancy. Now the second statement, she was called as the queen of the 1942 movement. There were many other ladies like Sucheta Kripalani, Aruna Ashraf Ali, so or Aruna, she was called the queen of the 1940. She is not called the queen of the queen title was given to Aruna Ashraf Ali. That is the mistake. For her bravery and was called Grand Old Lady of the Independence Movement. This is for Aruna Ashraf Ali, not for Usha Mehta. So this also becomes wrong. Now the third statement. She was awarded Padma Vibhushan, the second highest civilian award of the Republic of India posthumously. This is correct that she was given Padma Vibhushan, Usha Mehta, but not posthumously, not after death. She got it before her death. She died in 2080, but she got the award Padma Vibhushan in 1998. This is a bit tricky for you because you can answer this question correctly only when you have studied significant personalities related to freedom struggle well and you know the key facts about them, right? And that's why we suggest the important personalities, you should try to know some facts about these personalities. At least 5 to 10 facts must be known about the key personalities. There are sometimes questions asked in mains and prelims both which are more personality oriented, right? So therefore, D, none of them is correct. There is one or the other discrepancy in every statement. So the answer is D, none of the statements are correct for question 80. With this, the history and culture is finished. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the discussion of Panchsutra 4 for the economy sections. So in this particular examination, we had seen that the questions were mostly from international aspects. Some of the concepts relevant to WTO and some of the, you can say, policies which have been brought in by the government. So we'll quickly see the questions, although the questions were mix of all the macroeconomic aspects as well as some of the options, some of the questions were from in this agriculture also. So quickly we'll see the questions. So the first question is the 31st question. 31st question says, consider the following statements about Vostro account. So again, this again becomes an external sector or external sector concept. So if we talk about this Vostro account, if we consider there are two parties, two banks, Bank A and Bank B. Suppose this is in Russia and this is in India. And we are talking about Vostro account. So we'll see from the perspective of India. This is the country which is under consideration. So if an Indian importer tries to import from Russia, so he'll be needing to pay in ruble, or if there is an arrangement that the particular exporter from Russia would be ready to accept Indian rupees, one option would be an account could be opened in a bank located in Russia, or there could be another arrangement wherein this particular Bank A opens an account in India with Bank B, wherein all the transactions would accrue to Bank A. However, the payments would be made in the currency of the place where Bank B is situated. Here we will be talking about Indian currency. So INR. So if the payments are being made in INR rather than the bank going to Russia, a bank in Russia would be simultaneously opening an account in India with Bank B, and for Bank B, that particular account of Bank A would be known as Vostro account. That particular account would be known as Vostro account. That means for Bank B, it is your account with us. And that is the meaning of Vostro. And there's another, you can say, counter concept, that is Nostro account. Both are same thing. We are talking about the same account, but for Bank A, if they want to refer that particular account which has been opened with Bank B, for Bank A, they'll say that they have opened a Nostro account with Bank B. So here we have been asked Vostro account. So what could be the currency in which that particular account would be opened? That would be the local currency of the resident, the Indian. So that would be a local currency rather than a foreign currency. Vostro and Nostro accounts are same thing. Vostro is all about, if we say that your account with us, that becomes Vostro, and Nostro, our account with you. So that is all about the reference with what we are talking about. So in this particular statement, if we see the first statement, it is the type of account that domestic bank hold, that is correct, domestic bank hold for what? For whom? For a foreign bank, that is also correct. In foreign currency, this is incorrect. The account is held for foreign bank in the local currency, not in the foreign currency. So that becomes incorrect. It helps domestic banks gain wider access to foreign financial markets without having any physical presence abroad. That is the only idea. Rather than Bank B going to the location in which Bank A is situated, they only try to open an account rather than in physical movement. It's all about opening an account and giving a specific international reference to it as Vostro or nostro depending upon the reference to which it is made. So second statement would be correct. B would be the correct answer as statement 2 is correct. 32nd question is, consider the following statements. Fiscal stimulus. So this fiscal stimulus is all about government expenditure. In economics parlance, that is also known as fiscal stimulus, or you can say unofficially you can say as government expenditure. So fiscal stimulus becomes less effective if the government expenditure is financed by borrowings from the market, and that is a correct statement. If the fiscal stimulus is being given and that is being given all because of borrowing, through borrowing what would happen? The cost of capital in the market, or we can say the interest rate in the market, will increase. That will increase. So what would happen if the government is borrowing a chunk of liquidity which is there in the market? That would lead to crowding out. What would happen if that is the portion of credit that is available in the market, X amount, and the government is all taking maximum portion? So what is being left is being taken up by private. So in a way, private is being crowded out of this particular credit, you can say the overall credit limit that is available in the market. So this is correct statement. Rise in interest rates in domestic markets can lead to currency depreciation? No. If there is rise in interest rate in the market, the local market, suppose here we are taking reference of US and India, and there is an interest rate of 8% in India. We are talking about the interest rate that would be generally offered if there is an investment in Indian market, Indian bond market, or Indian, you can say fixed deposits and all those things. And here if the interest rate is 3%, so what would happen that there is an interest rate differential. So many of those foreign investors, they'll try to pull money from US market and try to invest in Indian market. So that would lead to capital inflows, and if there is more capital inflows, that leads to currency appreciation. That leads to currency appreciation. So this is an incorrect statement. During the liquidity trap situation, so a liquidity trap is a scenario wherein the interest rate in the market or the policy rate which is being set by the Monetary Policy Committee is already too low, and if there is no effect of further reduction in the policy rate on the market, that becomes a redundant, if I can say, policy. What does that mean? So monetary policy in that scenario becomes ineffective. What is the meaning of this monetary policy becoming ineffective? If the interest rate is 1%, and there is growth pessimism, there is a pessimistic view that the growth in the near term would be low, people will try to hoard in cash rather than invest it. And even if the monetary policy regulator, the RBI in Indian context, would try to reduce the policy interest rate, that would have no effect in ushering in the growth, or you can say demand in the market. So that is a scenario of liquidity trap. So during liquidity trap situation, interest rate in the economy is extremely high? No, it is extremely low. It's all related with the speculative demand of money also, and when that interest rate is nearing to zero, that creates a situation of liquidity trap. Although developing countries do not experience these types of liquidity traps, it's all about the, you can say, advanced economies that they regularly face. This has been seen in Japan also. 33rd question is, the command is recently, there has been a lot of debate in the country on redistribution of wealth to reduce rising inequality and alleviate poverty. Which of the above measures are likely to be taken up by the government if it intends to reduce inequality? So how could inequality be reduced? If there is wealth distribution first, or if there is rise in wage rate of the masses. So we'll see from that perspective. Introduction of estate duty, it's a kind of inheritance tax kind of thing. So when the estates are transferred from one generation to second generation in kind of inherited wealth, then there is a duty that is imposed on it. So that is all about reducing inequality. This is a correct option, because the money that would be garnered or the revenues that would be mobilized, that could be used to ensure that inequality is reduced. That could be used for larger public expenditure. Reducing subsidies on public distribution system. This is incorrect, because if PDS subsidies are reduced, that indirectly would hurt poor more, or those at the bottom of the economic pyramid. Increase in goods and services tax. That is also incorrect. Why? Because GST is an indirect tax. And indirect tax is regressive in nature, that in a sense hits, or you can say that affects people from low income group more as compared to direct taxes. Direct taxes are progressive. So if direct taxes are increased, that would be imposed on those who are earning more. But if indirect taxes are increased, that would hit poor more, that would affect poor more in a negative manner. So increase in goods and services taxes would actually increase inequality rather than reduce it. Introduction of living wage. So this has been in news, all because the government is trying, it is trying to, I can say, move beyond the minimum wage. You can say there is an act, Minimum Wages Act, towards living wages, wherein the living wages should also incorporate other non-economic parameters like leisure activities and all those things, in a way that wages should increase rather than it should be a minimum basic based. Rather than minimum basic based, it should be more than that. So if introduction of living wage is created in India, if it is introduced in India, that would lead to increase, or you can say reduction in inequality. So this is a correct option. So out of the 4 options, first and fourth are correct. We are talking about it intends to reduce inequality. So we need to see which all options which are ensured to make sure that either rich people are taxed more, or ensuring that poor people are getting more wages, more income. So first and fourth are correct option. D is the correct answer. 34th question is, consider the following: higher tax to GDP ratio, disinvestment in PSUs, and reduction in reliance on external commercial borrowing. How many of the above measures can help in fiscal consolidation? Fiscal consolidation is a scenario wherein the government tries to reduce budget deficits. So what is that budget deficit? It is all the revenues or all expenditure. If we take the difference between this, all expenditure minus all revenue, that defines budget deficit. So if either those wasteful, those unnecessary expenditures, those which are generally revenue in nature, that is either getting reduced, or the sources of revenues are getting increased, like in case of higher tax mobilization. So all the option, higher tax to GDP ratio would lead to higher tax revenue. Higher tax revenue, in a way that would lead to increased revenue. Disinvestment in PSUs would also mean that non-tax revenue for the government is increasing. That is also good. And reduction in reliance on external commercial borrowing would ensure that the interest payments on those borrowings in foreign currency denomination is getting reduced, and that would also reduce expenditure. So all these 3 are considered as measures for fiscal consolidation. 35th question is, consider the following statements about the trade related aspects of intellectual property rights It is related to WTO. So WTO has 4 aspects. One is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, that is more related with goods. Then there is GATS, General Agreement for Trade in Services, that is more related with services. Then there is TRIPS for IPR related issues, and there is TRIMS for investment related measures. So here we are talking about TRIPS, the IPR related issues. So WTO members have the right under the TRIPS agreement to grant compulsory licenses under their domestic laws. This is correct. So what is compulsory licensing? Compulsory licensing is a, you can say, is an additional provision in all the rules, WTO rules, wherein if there is a need to violate patent laws, those IPR laws which protect the original creator for common good, then the country, the authority or the government of that country has the provision, has the power to allow other companies to violate certain IPR related protection which has been granted to another company. But that should be proven that it is a need of the hour, or it is an emergency situation. So this is a correct option. The compulsory, it is more generally related with medicines and pharma related aspects only, all because when there is a global pandemic kind of scenario, IPR related protections ensures that the cost of goods are, cost of those medicines are very high, but wherein the demand from the market or from the global needs perspective, it is important that those costs should be brought down. And how can they be brought down? If the IPR related protection is violated for the near term. So that is all related with that. It was all related with the vaccine related aspects during the COVID time. The compulsory license issued can be used only for the domestic market and not for export purposes. No, that is not correct, because that provision is allowed for domestic market also and for export related aspects also, specifically for least developed countries. So only first is the correct answer. 36th question is, consider the following statements about Swami Fund. So Swami Fund has been created to, you can say, restart construction of stalled projects, stalled residential projects. And what is the criteria? That those residential projects should be net worth positive. So what is the idea? Those projects, those residential projects, specifically in affordable and mid-income category, those projects which are net worth positive. The idea is, if those projects value or the value of the assets which would be created is more than the cost of construction, then the fund could be released from the Swami Investment Fund, which has been created by the Government of India in 2019. So this is correct. It is managed by National Housing Bank. No, National Housing Bank is the housing finance company's regulator, but this Swami Fund is being managed by SBI Cap Venture Limited, not National Housing Bank. So this is incorrect. A would be the correct answer. 37th question is, consider the following statements about the RODTEP. So what is this? Remission of duties and taxes on exported product scheme. So this particular scheme has been brought in by the government to replace the MEIS scheme, Merchandise Export from India scheme. So this particular scheme was part of Foreign Trade Policy 2015-2020. SEIS scheme and MEIS scheme, service related and merchandise related, the goods aspect. But somehow US challenged, or you can say dragged India's this particular scheme into WTO as being violative of the WTO rules which prohibits export subsidies. So what US alleged that this particular MEI scheme was actually promoting export subsidies, and export subsidies are generally discouraged as per, you can say, the mandates of WTO, as per the rules of WTO that ensures free flow of goods and services and ensuring that export subsidies are minimized to zero. So what the government did, they did not proceed further, rather they tweaked this particular scheme and brought in RoDTEP scheme, wherein what they did, they tried to refund all the duties and taxes, like taxes on electricity, tax stamp duties and all those things which was being collected by the government in the production process, like electricity being used for manufacturing process. So the government, what the government did, if those products are being used for export item, are being used as export items, the government would be remitting, it would be giving back all those duties so as to make sure that the cost of those goods in the international market goes down. So in a way, it tweaked this particular scheme. Rather than giving export subsidies, it withdrew all those taxes and duties which were being imposed on those goods which were meant for export purposes. So it aimed at refunding various embedded taxes and duties on exported products. This is a correct statement. It replaced the WTO incompatible MEIS scheme. This is also correct. It is administered by the Department of Commerce. This is incorrect. This is Department of Revenue under the Ministry of Finance, not Department of Commerce. It has been extended to advanced authorization holders, EOUs, the export oriented unit, and SEZs, the special economic zones. This is also correct. So out of all the 4 statements, 3 statements are correct. So C would be the correct answer. 38th question is, consider the following statements. Despite registering a relatively high growth rate, India has not seen a proportional increase in productive employment opportunities in the formal sector. The statement 2 says, agriculture sector still engages close to 50% of the total workforce. So both these statements are correct, but rather than A being the answer, B would be the answer, because it is the statement 2 which should be the effect. Why there is higher reliance on agriculture in terms of more labor engaged in agriculture? All because there has not been relatively higher increase or proportional increase in the number of employment opportunities in the formal sector. So if statement 2 would have been statement 1, then A would have been the answer. Here it is not directly, you can say, cause and effect or explanation based things. So here B would be the correct answer, because both the statements are individually correct. In India, the total workforce is 47 crore roughly, and out of this 23.5 crore people are directly or indirectly engaged in agriculture and allied activities. So it is more than 50%. So this statement, both the statements are individually correct, but statement 2 is not explaining, rather it is the effect, and statement 1 is actually explaining. So we'll stick with the B option. 39th question is, consider the following statements. Money multiplier increases when RBI adopts a loose monetary policy. So when RBI adopts loose monetary policy, so either the reserve requirement would go down or the interest rate would go down. In both the case, what would happen, that people would start using money for investment purpose and all those aspects. In a way, what would happen, the deposits in the you can say banks would indirectly or directly increase. How? If they try to invest money, what would happen? Indirectly, that particular money would go to the banks. So the reserve money or the M0 would go down and the broad money M3 would go up. And if we talk about money multiplier is M3 upon M0. If this is increasing and this is decreasing, so in a way money multiplier would increase. So this is the correct statement. During the festive season, the currency deposit ratio tends to go up. What is this currency deposit ratio? It is the currency which is being held by the public upon the deposits of public in bank. So what would happen in you can say festival season? So people would start withdrawing money from their banks and would try to cash in, wherein the currency with public would increase. They will try to encash their I can say deposits in bank, would try to invest in festive seasons. In a way, that would have an effect of currency deposit ratio getting increased, wherein the currency with public would increase and deposits would go down. So this is a correct statement. A rise in digital transactions like UPI reduces the currency deposit ratio. This is also correct, because if there is more UPI related transactions rather than public in cashing or withdrawing money in form of currency, they will try to directly I can say transfer money with the use of UPI or digital payments. In a way, this currency with public would reduce and deposits would increase. This is also correct. That is the effect of digitization in economy. Rather than currency with public getting increased, the transactions is being done between two banks using a digital setup. So all the three statements are correct. D would be the correct answer. 40th question is, consider the following: capital grants, direct transfers, tax cuts, PM Kisan Samman Nidhi scheme and subsidized food programs. How many of the above can be classified as above the line fiscal measures? All are above the line fiscal measures. So what are above the line fiscal measures? So those which are getting directly reflected in government's balance sheet or budget. So if they are getting directly reflected in those balance sheet or in the budget, that becomes above the line. Those are clearly visible. Some of those you can say expenditure are below the line also. So below the line means although those expenditure are getting incurred, but they are not getting directly reflected in you can say government books in the short term. एक साल में ये नहीं होता है. What happens that those expenditure are for long term, specifically capital related expenditures, and that too like recapitalization and all those things which are related to creation of assets or reduction in liquidity, I can say liability. So those expenditures are generally below the line. They are not directly getting reflected in those budget documents, but they are also fiscal expenditures or fiscal measures, but those are below the line. Here we are talking about above the line. All those expenditures which are short term and getting reflected in those budget documents, they are considered. So all those would be above the line measures. 96th question is, consider the following statements about defense exports. So this is in news all because India's defense export has grown exponentially. We can say it has zoomed by more than 31 times in the last 10 years. So round about this year it's 2.5 billion USD, and that is substantial, and that shows that we are becoming a part of defense global value chain where people are trusting. Even Philippines, they have ordered BrahMos missiles, and many of the African countries, they are also considering India as a reliable defense partner for import of those defense equipments from India. So in the last 10 years, defense exports have grown by more than 30 times. This is factually correct. You need to know about these data because this is very important as India is doing very good in the defense aspects. Currently, the private sector contributes about 40% to the exports, while defense PSUs contribute about 60%. This is flipped. Actually, private sector contributes more than 60% and defense PSUs contribute 40%. So there are many private sector like Tata Advanced Labs, Reliance, then L&T. So they are gearing up. They are collaborating with many of the international defense, you can say, manufacturing companies for a collaboration and joint venture wherein they are manufacturing defense equipment, that too world class from India only. So this is an incorrect, factually incorrect. A would be the correct answer. 97th question is, consider the following statement. Statement 1 says India's global rating or global credit rating. We are talking about sovereign credit rating. India's government bonds credit rating has been at the lowest rung of investment grade. This is correct. So there are basically, broadly there are three types: speculative grade, first is investment grade, speculative grade, and then there is junk grade. So how these are rated? So there are specifically three global rating agencies: Moody's, Fitch and Standards and Poor. They try to rate the bonds. The credit ratings are done for the sovereign bonds of the government. From what is the parameter? They try to basically gauge the repayment of debt capability. It's all about what is the likelihood of default on those debts. So it was all in news because India has said that India's rating by these three global rating agencies has been at the lowest level. For India, like Fitch and S&P, they have said that they have rated India's sovereign credit rating at the lowest investment grade. So what are those grades? It is AAA, AA and BBB. So higher the rating, it means there is least likelihood of default, and if there is higher rating, then the interest that would be needed or the yield which would be offered by those you can say sovereign bonds which is being issued, the yield would be lower, and it would be very easy for those government to raise money in international market. So India has been saying that India has become the fourth or fifth largest economy in the world. India has never defaulted on those bonds that they have issued. They have one of the largest reserves and most of the things which are favorable. And India has also seen consistent growth of more than 7% in the last 3 to 4 years. And India needs those rating upgrades. Still, India's credit rating for the sovereign bonds has been at the lowest level of the investment grade, that is BBB minus. And for Fitch, Moody's, they have set at BBA 3. So they have different grades. So this is a correct statement. India's public debt to GDP ratio has been more than 90%. No, it is around about 81%. And that is what has been highlighted by those sovereign credit rating agencies, that although India has done remarkably good on many of the fiscal parameters and all those external parameters, still the government debts as a percentage of GDP is very high for a comparable economy at the developmental stages, like we compared with Indonesia and you can say Mexico, even China. They have this public debt to GDP ratio around about 60% or even below that. So India needs to bring that below, and that is what has been also highlighted by the NK Singh committee report. They have said that the public debt to GDP ratio should not be more than 60%, wherein the central debt could be more around about 40% and the states combined should be not be more than 20%. And that is what is the statement. As per this statement, this is incorrect. So C would be the correct answer, as the statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. 98th question is, how many of the above are categorized as time deposits? Time deposits are which have considered as part of M3, broad money, less liquid. So those which have fixed maturity, and if you try to, you cannot be asking for those deposits as and when you want. If the person who has deposited the money in the bank, and if the person goes and demands the money as and when he wants, then a penalty could be charged on those deposits. So out of this, recurring deposits and fixed deposits are the only time deposit, because Deposit in savings accounts or current account are demand deposits. So here we have been asked for time deposit. So only 2 would be the correct answer. 99th question is, consider the following about alternate investment fund, AIFs. So AIFs are a new category of fund which has been created by, you can say, the Security and Exchange Board of India, wherein those funds which are not part of equity, debt, rather they are specifically curated funds for specific classes of investors. Generally high net worth individuals, or you can say institutional investors, not for all public investors, because the money, the lowest ticket size or the minimum amount that could be invested in these AIFs are very high. So they are privately pooled investment vehicles that invest in alternative assets like venture capitals or commodities, or it could be funds, fund of funds. There are many categories of funds. So this is a correct statement. They are not regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India or SEBI. This is incorrect. They are more volatile than other investments like equity or mutual fund. This is also incorrect because there is lesser public participation and the investments are not directly in the market, the capital markets like equity or debt market or mutual fund market. So they are generally less volatile. And also because of higher, you can say, threshold limit, like minimum investment that could be considered as a part of alternate investment fund in some of the categories are around about 2 lakh rupees. Minimum investment that needs is more than 2 lakhs, some of them has more than 5 lakhs. So these are considered as part of alternate investment funds and they are less volatile. So A would be the correct answer. So the last question from the economy section which was asked in this particular test is a term based question. Which of the following best describes the term drip pricing, practiced by e-commerce firms to mislead the consumers by having a hidden charges? This is the only correct answer. All the statements are incorrect. So what is this drip pricing? What happens that when you go and shop on those e-commerce sites, some of the sites they have those hidden charges wherein what you are being shown on the front page, the prices could be low, and as you proceed for the payments, there are many added charges like handling charges, those taxes and those things which are not initially shown. So in a way there are certain hidden charges and that is against, you can say, transparency of the data, and that is why it is being discouraged. So this is the correct option. So this was all about the discussion from the economy aspect for the Panchsutra 4. Thank you.
Hello everyone. So now I am going to take the discussion of the current affairs question in Panchsutra Test 4. So from the current affairs sections there were about 15 questions, question number 41 to 50 and question number 86 to 90. Okay, my name is Zahidul. I am a faculty member in Lukmaan IAS, so I am going to take the discussion of the current affairs section now. So let us talk about the first question. This particular question is question number 41. In this question, basically they have given pairs. On one side they have mentioned group of countries, on the other side they have mentioned objectives, right, of these groups. So one of the group is coffee club. Okay, so they have mentioned coffee club, Paris club, climate club. So we are going to discuss what is the role of these, let's say, like, clubs. When we talk about coffee club is a group of those nations that want to maintain the status quo in the United Nations organization. For example, they want to maintain the status quo of the P5 members, means like they don't want any expansion of the P5 in the United Nations Security Council. They don't want any reformation or, let's say, any expansion of membership in the United Nations Security Council as well. Okay, so when we talk about coffee club, so this is a group of those countries that are already members of the P5. They don't want to dilute their own powers. So this is a group to oppose the possible expansion of permanent seats in the United Nations Security Council. First statement is correctly matched. This is correctly matched. Let us read the second statement. It says Paris Club. Okay, So to solve payment difficulties faced by debtor countries. This statement is also correctly matched. Now let us understand what is Paris Club. So Paris Club is a club of those countries that give, let's say, loans to other countries. These are the group of creditor countries. For example, if you give loan to someone else, you would like to recover that amount, let's say, like, from them also. So Paris Club is a group of creditor countries. So those countries who have taken loan, who have taken money from creditors, so they are under the obligation of repayment of that loan. If in case they are unable to make the repayment, in that case, let's say this Paris Club will come together, they are going to provide solutions to debtor countries. They are going to provide solutions to those countries that have taken loans so that they can repay the amount, right? This is the thing. Third, Climate Club, to decarbonize industries. This is also a, let's say, newly formed club. So all these three statements, I mean, like on one side they have mentioned Coffee Club, it is correctly matched, Paris Club, then Climate Club. So here they are asking how many of the above pairs are incorrectly matched. Remember this keyword, they are asking how many of them are incorrectly matched. All are correctly matched. So correct answer would be option D, means none of them are incorrectly matched. All of them are correctly matched. So with this, now let us move to the next question. This is question number 42. We are going to discuss this question. In this question, basically, they have mentioned names of some international courts, okay? So like we have the International Court of Justice, the International Criminal Court, Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons. In short, it is known as OPCW, okay? Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, and Permanent Court of Arbitration, okay? In short, this is known as ICJ, International Court of Justice, ICC, International Criminal Court, and this is known as PCA, Permanent Court of Arbitration. So here they are asking how many of the above organizations have their headquarters located in The Hague, Netherlands, okay? The correct answer is all of these courts have their headquarters located in Netherlands. Correct answer is all of the above. They all have their headquarters located in The Hague, Netherlands, okay? So all these courts have been in news this year and in the last year, in 2023 as well as in 2024. If we talk about International Court of Justice, right, ICJ, it is also known as the World Court, okay? ICJ is known as the World Court. And this court has been established under the statute of the United Nations Organization, okay? So this is the World Court. And the members of this court are the members of the United Nations Organization, okay? So the states are members to this court. And if we talk about the second court, which is known as International Criminal Court, this is a court that, let's say, tries all those cases where the, let's say, like, someone has violated some international laws related to genocide, related to, let's say, crimes against humanity, right, war crimes or crimes of aggression. So International Criminal Court, I mean, like, it has been recently in news because it has released arrest warrants against the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, arrest warrants against the, I mean, like, it is in talks to release arrest warrants against the head of the state of Israel and also head of Hamas group as well, right? If we talk about Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, this was also in news because the United States of America has finally, let's say, like, finally dismantled, or it has destroyed the last let's say remaining portion of chemical weapons in them. So like, so with this, the United States of America do not have any chemical weapons with this. And Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCA, I mean, like, it has given rulings related to South China Sea dispute in the past as well. So correct answer is all the four. You need to understand about difference between all these courts, right? And similarities between them. So all of them have their headquarters located in Permanent The Hague, Netherlands. And apart from this, I would like to share another additional information, is that like India is a member of the International Court of Justice, but India is not a signatory to the International Criminal Court, okay? India is has signed the let's say this particular convention, and India is a member of the Permanent Court of Arbitration also. Except the second one, India has signed, ratified, taken membership of all other, let's say, organizations except International Criminal Court. Okay, so correct answer is, let's say, like we discussed, answer would be D in that question. Now let us move to the next question. It says, consider the following statements about diversity for restoration. All right, diversity for restoration. Here we need to understand that this is a kind of new initiative for protection of the environment, for afforestation efforts, right? So it is an online tool that helps in adopting appropriate agroforestry and afforestation practices. Okay, this is for afforestation practices. It is devised by not Conservation International, but it is devised by Biodiversity International. Okay, which organization? Biodiversity International. So second statement is wrong. So which of the above statements are correct? Only one. Okay, so A is the right answer in this case. Now with this, let us move to the next question. Question number 44. Okay, we are going to look into this question. It says atoms for net zero. All right, atoms for net zero is an initiative that supports efforts to harness the power of nuclear energy in transition to net zero. It has been launched by International Atomic Energy Agency. Okay, now let us understand what is this initiative all about, atoms for net zero. Basically, net zero is a concept where we are thinking of becoming carbon neutral, means like overall emission that you are going to have, you are going to sink that amount of carbon dioxide or that amount of carbon, so that there is net zero emission. So across the world, many developed countries have adopted 2050 to be the year by which they want to achieve net zero status. India has also adopted a target, but India wants to achieve net zero target by 2070. So to achieve the net zero targets, what every country have to do? Every country have to go for alternative sources of energy. Those sources of energy that pollutes less, right? That, let's say, has lesser greenhouse effect, right? And so when we talk about nuclear power, when we talk about nuclear energy is considered to be one of the cleanest source of energy because it has very less, let's say, like, global warming potential. It let's say, like, it emits very less amount of greenhouse gases. So that's why the International Atomic Energy Agency is promoting, let's say, like, atomic energy. It is promoting nuclear power, right? It is promoting nuclear energy for net zero. Okay, so this is important. So correct answer is option B in this case. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 45. We are going to discuss about this question. It says, in the context of international developments, International Negotiating Committee refers to, okay, a committee convened by the United Nations Environment Program to develop an international legally binding treaty on plastic pollution. So basically, it is acknowledged by every country that, like, plastic is a biggest source of pollution. It is not only polluting the lithosphere, it is also polluting the, let's say, like, ocean as well. So if you see any whale that has died, right, from the stomach of the whale, you will see huge amount of plastics coming out. So plastic is a kind of pollution that degrades very slowly. It takes years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, or maybe more than that for degradation of plastic. So it is important that, like, we need to adopt a certain life cycle of plastic. We need to adopt certain standards of plastic. We need to reduce the usage of plastic. So multiple steps have to be taken to reduce the plastic pollution. So basically, one of the organization which is known as United Nations Environment Program, UNEP, okay. So this is building an international consensus. It is, let's say, talking with different countries, governments, private sector organizations, so that an internationally legally binding treaty can be signed to end plastic pollution. So this international negotiating committee is negotiating with governments. It is talking with the stakeholders from the private sector as well, so that a legally binding agreement or treaty can be signed to end plastic pollution. So this is the thing. Correct answer is option C. Now with this, let us move to next question, question number 46. Okay. This question is also very, very important. It says, which of the following prizes or awards is also known as the Nobel Prize for the Environment? Okay, Nobel Prize for the Environment. Although originally there is no Nobel Prize for Environment, but there are prizes that can be equated with the Nobel Prize. Okay, so one of those prizes, Nobel Prize for Environment. So this is known as Tyler Prize. Okay, Tyler Prize is known as Nobel Prize for Environment. So basically in the year of 2024, there was a person who was awarded the Nobel Prize for Environment. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the name. So it was awarded to Johan Rockstrom, and he has done a groundbreaking contribution, right, and pioneering work in the development of planetary boundary framework. Okay, so he has built planetary boundary framework. A person who was awarded the Tyler Prize in 2024. So he has let's say built this particular framework, and his name is Johan Rockstrom. And Tyler Prize for Environmental Achievement was, let's say it was initiated by Ronald Reagan, the then governor of California. Okay, and the let's say there is an institute over there that is known as let's say Californian Institute. So that University of Southern California, let's say, awards the Nobel Prize of Environment, which is the Tyler Prize. Okay, so this prize also has a cash award. Like people are given $250,000 US dollars as prize and a medal also. So Tyler Prize for 2020 was given to an Indian person. His name is Pawan Sukhdev in 2020. So that's why it is very important that you need to learn about Tyler Prize. Okay, Tyler Prize. So it is equated with the Nobel Prize in Environment. Okay, this is the thing. Now let us talk about another question, question number 47. It says, consider the following with reference to the captive elephants transfer or transport rules 2024. Okay, so Government of India, the Union Government of India has come up with these rules. It is known as captive elephants transfer or transport rules. Means if there are elephants that are in captivity, means elephants that are being taken care of by mahots or that are taken care of by the owner of the elephant. If they want to transport that elephant from one state, let's say from the state of Karnataka to the state of, let's say, Kerala to the state of Madhya Pradesh. So if there has to be a transfer or transport of the elephant from one state to another state, they need to take signature, they need to take consent from the Chief Wildlife Warden. Okay. So related to this, norms have been devised, rules have been devised by the central government, and this question is based on that. So here they have given three statements. Now the first statement says the owner is no longer in a position to maintain the elephant. Means if a person who is the owner, if he is not in a position to maintain the elephant, he can transfer the elephant. The elephant will have a better upkeep than in the present circumstances. He deems it fit and proper in the circumstances of the case for better upkeep of the elephant. In how many of the above cases the transfer of the elephant may be permitted by the Chief Wildlife Warden? So basically in this captive elephants transfer or transport rules, they have mentioned that in which cases the Chief Wildlife Warden can permit the transfer or transport of elephants. Okay, so in all these cases, in all the three cases, he can permit. And also it is mandatory that if an elephant has any disease, right, so he should be treated first. He should be given, let's say, like medicine, and during the transport of the elephant also there should be sufficient, let's say, sufficient stockpile of the food for the elephant. Means the elephant should not starve during the journey. This is the thing. So all the three statements are correct here. Now let us talk about another question, question number 48. We are going to discuss about this question. It says, sunset yellow, Tatrazine and rhodamine B, recently mentioned in the media due to their harmful health effects, are they are food coloring agents. Basically, if I talk about these things, sunset yellow, tartrazine and rhodamine B, they are coloring agents for dyeing the clothes. For example, silk clothes and other kind of clothes. These, let's say, coloring agents are strictly prohibited from using in food items. Like almost all countries internationally, they have banned the usage of these coloring agents in food products. However, it was recently reported in news that in India, in food coloring agents, these things have been used. Okay, so that's why it is in news. It is very harmful. All of these things, if they are used in food, they are very, very harmful. Okay, now let us move to the next question. Okay, question number 49. Consider the following statements about Pratyush telescope. We are going to discuss about a telescope which is Pratyush telescope. So here it says it is a radio telescope to be placed on the moon's far side. This statement is right. It is being built by the Indian Institute of Astrophysics in collaboration with ISRO. Okay. So this is not Indian Institute of Astrophysics. This is Raman Research Center. Okay. So like this particular telescope is being built by Raman Research Institute. Okay. It is being built by Raman Research Institute in collaboration with ISRO. Okay. Raman Research Institute and ISRO. They are together building this, let's say, telescope, Pratyush telescope. It is being built by India. Third statement, it will help to detect signals from the first stars and galaxies. I mean, like those stars and galaxies that have not yet been detected. If, let's say, signals are coming from there, if lights are coming from there, so this telescope will be able to detect them, will be able to identify them. Okay, this is the thing. So first and third statements are correct. Okay, so how many of them are correct? Only 2. Answer is option B. Now let us talk about question number 50. This question here, they have discussed about, consider the following pairs, new developments and the cities. Okay, India's first underwater metro line. Okay, so over here, I mean, the statements have been statements have been like meddled. So let us discuss. So on one side, on this side, you need to consider India's first underwater metro line. So where is India's first underwater metro line? So India's first underwater metro line is in Kolkata. Where? Kolkata. Kolkata is a city in West Bengal. So it is the capital of West Bengal. Okay. So this statement is wrong because here they have mentioned Kochi. Second statement, India's first floating CNG station. India's first floating CNG station is located in Varanasi. Okay, where? It is located in Varanasi. Varanasi is the constituency from where the Prime Minister Narendra Modi is, let's say, like, contesting in election. Third, India's first undersea tunnel. This is located in Mumbai. Okay, third is right. So how many of them are correctly matched? Only 1. I hope you understood the question. The first part over here, India's first underwater metro line. Correct answer should be Kolkata, not Kochi. India's first floating CNG station, which is correct answer is Varanasi, not in Kolkata. Third, India's first undersea tunnel, it is in Mumbai. Okay, this is the thing. So with this, now let us move to the next question. Question number 86. Okay, we have discussed about 10 questions by now. Only 5 questions are remaining. 86. Consider the following statements about Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar. Okay, Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar or National Science Awards. So we are discussing about National Science Awards. Here they have mentioned 4 statements. We need to identify how many of the above statements are correct. All scientists, technologists and innovators working in any field of science, only in government organizations are eligible for the awards. This statement is wrong. Okay, I mean, like, if Indians are working in any field of science, okay, any field of science, technology or innovation, they can be awarded irrespective of the fact that they are from the government institution or private institution, okay. So they can be awarded. So it is not only government institutions, private institutions can also be included here. So first statement is wrong. Age limit is not one of the eligibility criteria for any of the awards. This statement is right. Third, these awards shall be announced on the National Science Day every year. This statement is wrong. These awards can be, let's say like, these awards shall be announced on National Science Day and also National Space Day. Which day? National Space Day. National Science Day is celebrated on 11th of May every year. National Space Day is celebrated on 23rd of August every year. Why? Because on 23rd of August 2023, we have sent Chandrayaan on moon, okay. So there was a successful landing of the Chandrayaan on the moon. So that's why that day is celebrated as National Space Day. The award ceremony for all categories of awardees shall be held every year on the National Space Day. So this will be on National Space Day plus National Science Day, okay, National Science Day. It can be on any of these days, okay. So that's why the fourth statement is also wrong. So how many of them are correct? Only one, okay. So under this, they have categorized various types of awards also. National Science Awards means like, they have Vigyan Ratna Award, Vigyan Shri Award, Science Team Award, Vigyan Yuva Shanti Swarup Award, okay. So this is the thing. Although let's say like for these awards, there is no age limit, okay. But for one of the award, which is known as for one of the award, they have mentioned the age limit to be 45 years, and that is a separate award altogether. And this award is known as Vigyan Yuva Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, and maximum age limit for this award is 45 years. Apart from this, under the National Science Awards or Rashtriya Vigyan Puruskar, there is no age limit. So that's why the second statement is correct. Only second statement means like, A will be the right answer. Right? Now with this, let us move to another question, question number 87. All right. So it says 3-parent baby is a human offspring produced from the genetic material of one man and 2 women through the use of assisted reproductive technologies. The donor woman provides which of the following genetic material? This is known as mtDNA, which is mitochondrial DNA. So let us understand what happens. Let's consider, okay, so let us discuss about 3-parent babies quickly. Okay, so I'll be taking a minute to make you understand about 3-parent babies. 3-parent babies. So over here what happens, let's consider, let's say this is the mother's egg, this is the father's sperm, but the thing is in this particular egg there is defective mitochondria. What? There is defective mitochondria. Okay, defective mitochondria. This mitochondria resides outside the cell, okay, generally outside the nucleus of the cell. So what we need to do, I mean like if we, let's say like, produce an offspring out of it, the offspring is going to have some kind of disease. What kind of disease? This is known as Leigh syndrome. Leigh syndrome is a kind of genetic disease that is inherited from the parents. So to avoid the offspring from having this disease, we use a donor, let's say like, donor cell. Let's say this is the donor cell, this is the women, this is man, and this is women again. So in this donor cell, the mitochondria that it has, the mitochondria is healthy, okay. So over here we have healthy mitochondria in the donor cell. So from this cell, the nucleus will be discarded, and then from this cell, the nucleus will be taken out, and we are going to make a cell, right? We are going to make a cell. In this cell, we will be having the healthy nucleus, I mean like, healthy nucleus from the intended mother, and we'll be having this thing, what? Mitochondria from the donor cell, okay. Then it will be, let's say like, mated with this one through assisted reproductive technology, and we are going to have a baby. So we are not using the mitochondrial DNA, right, from the actual mother. We are using mitochondrial DNA from the donated mother's egg. So this is going to produce a baby. This baby is known as 3-parent baby. It is to avoid mitochondrial disease in the offspring, in the child, okay. So to avoid the Leigh syndrome, okay. So here mitochondrial DNA is transferred, okay. So DNA, we have cellular DNA also in the nucleus, and we have mitochondrial DNA as well outside the nucleus. This is the thing. So with this, now let us discuss about another question. It says, consider the following statements. Here they have given, let's say, 3 statements, and this is related to ASHA workers. Who are ASHA? Accredited social health activist, okay, accredited social health activist. So here they have mentioned about, let's say, like, you know, some of the eligibility, what benefits do the ASHA workers receive, like that. An ASHA worker must primarily be a married, widowed, divorced women, resident of the village, preferably in the age group 25 to 45 years. This statement is right. I mean, like, it is necessary that an ASHA worker must be a married woman. Married means like either she is married, has her husband, or she might be a widowed woman, means like she once, like she got married, or she may be a divorced woman also, but marriage is a condition. Then second, the minimum prescribed qualification for engagement of Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers and Anganwadi helpers is education up to 12th standard. This is not 12th. This should be 10th standard. So second statement is wrong. So those people who are operating the Anganwadi centers, their eligibilities, they should be 10th standard qualified. Third, both ASHA workers and Anganwadi workers receive fixed salaries from the government of India. This statement is also right, okay. First and third are right. It means how many of them are correct? Only 2, okay, only 2. Now with this, let us move to next question, question number 89, okay, question number 89. Consider the following statements about Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana, okay, Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. This is a scheme to benefit the pregnant women, okay, to benefit the pregnant women. So it is a centrally sponsored scheme implemented by the Ministry of Women and Child Development. This statement is right. The benefit is available to a woman for the first 2 living children, provided the second child is a girl. This statement is wrong, okay. Here in this scheme, they have not mentioned about the gender of the child, because let's say, like, you know, it is strictly prohibited that gender detection should not happen before the birth of a child, okay. So no matter what is the gender of the child, the benefit is provided to the women, and in fact it is not given for 2 living children, it is given for the first children only, okay. This is the thing. Third statement, it has been made a component of the Sambhal sub-scheme of Mission Shakti. This is also right. So how many of them are correct? Only 2. First and third statements are correct, okay. So with this, now let us move to the next question, question number 90, the last question under current affairs section. OI Chiki or OL Chiki, OL Chiki or OI Chiki script is used to write which of the following languages, okay. It is a script to write Santhali language, okay. So this script has been developed by a person in 1925 itself, okay. So this script has been developed by Raghunath Murmu, and Raghunath Murmu has developed it developed it in let's say, like, you know, for the Munda, for the Santhali people, right. It is a Munda language, okay. So this is a script of the Santhali people. So, like, you know, it is a Austro-Asiatic language recognized as an official regional language in India, okay. So Indian Constitution has been translated into all Chiki script for the first time, okay. Indian Constitution of India has been translated into this script for the first time. That's why it is in news, okay. So this is a, let's say, Santhali language, okay, or let's say for the Munda people, okay. Now we are going to discuss the science and technology related questions from the Panchsutra Test 4. So in this particular test, there were 10 questions from question number 51 to 60, and these questions are from science and technology section. So now let us discuss the question number 51, the first question, okay. So this question is related to polymerase chain reaction or PCR. So here they asked with reference to polymerase chain reaction, consider the following statements. They have given 3 statements, and here we need to identify like which of the above statements are correct, okay. It says it is a technique used to amplify specific regions of DNA. So DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid, means like inside the nucleus of a cell, right? Inside the nucleus of a cell, we have strands of chromosomes, and in those chromosomal strands, we have structures of DNA and RNA. So DNA is double helical structure, okay? So DNA has, let's say, 80 GC as base pairs. Adenosine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, like that, okay? So adenine, thymine, guanine and cytosine. So they are the base pairs. Second statement, it says it requires a DNA polymerase enzyme that can withstand very low temperatures, okay? Not only low temperature, it should withstand very high temperature, because when we talk about polymerase chain reaction or PCR is a process of replicating the, let's say, like specific regions of DNA. So it goes through different cycles of low temperature and high temperature. So it should withstand very high temperatures also. So that's why the second statement is wrong. Third, it says PCR can only be performed using DNA samples extracted from human cells. See, PCR is a technique, polymerase chain reaction is a technique. It can be performed on any type of DNA. I mean, like, not only from human cells, it can be performed from, let's say, plant cells also, from animal cells or other types of cells also. So that's why, let's say, third statement is also wrong. So how many statements are correct? Only one. So correct answer is A, okay, in this case. So you might have heard about RT-PCR during COVID-19 time. Okay, so this question is related to that. Now this is question number 52. With reference to leukemia, consider the following statements. You might have heard about leukemia or blood cancer for that sense, okay. So basically this is a kind of blood cancer where what happens, I mean, like, it primarily affects the leukocytes. Leukocytes means white blood cells. In our, let's say, blood cells, we have red blood cells, we have white blood cells, we have, let's say, other components also in the cell. But the thing is, when we talk about leukemia, okay, leukemia affects leukocytes. It does not affect thrombocytes, okay. Thrombocytes means RBCs, okay. Leukemia means associated with leukocytes that are associated with WBCs, okay, white blood cells. So first statement is wrong. Second, it is a type of cancer originating from bone marrow stem cells. Definitely, this statement is right. Exposure to environmental toxins can increase the risk of developing leukemia, okay. This is also right, okay. Basically, bone marrow is the place from where, like, blood cells are generated, okay, red blood cells, white blood cells. So the origin, okay, so it is a type of cancer that originates from bone marrow stem cells, okay. So second and third statements are correct. It means option B will be right, because 2 statements are right. Here they are asking about how many of the above statements are correct. Now with this, let us move to question number 53, okay, question number 53. It says, which one of the following statements is not correct about glycemic index, okay. Remember, like, here we are talking about glycemic index. So what do we mean by glycemic index? Glycemic index is the index that measures that, like, how much a food can affect the blood sugar level of a human being. Means, like, in our body we have blood. So blood has a, let's say, like, we measure the blood sugar levels to identify whether a person has diabetes or not, whether a person is affected by diabetes, okay. So there are certain food items that increases the blood sugar level rapidly. There are certain food items that do not increase the blood sugar level. For example, if you are consuming meat, it does not increase the blood sugar level. If you are consuming something carbohydrate rich, it is going to increase the blood sugar level, okay. Glycemic index is used to measure that how much blood sugar level will be affected by a particular food that you are consuming, okay. So now here they are asking about like which of these statements is not correct. It means 3 of these statements will be right and only 1 statement will be wrong. Let us read all these statements. It is a tool to promote better blood sugar management. Definitely, like if you know the if you know the glycemic index of certain food, you will be able to, let's say, like, decide that which food you want to consume, which food you don't want to consume, which food you want to consume less. So basically it will help you to promote better blood sugar management. Definitely. Food that do not contain carbohydrates are not assigned GI value. That's definitely right. Okay. So for example, protein rich food, I mean, like, the meat, it is not assigned any glycemic index value. This is also right. Foods having higher GI value are digested more quickly. This is also correct. Okay. So those foods that has higher GI value or that has more sugar content in it, it is digested quickly in the body. Lactose has higher GI value than maltose. Okay, so this is other way around. Lactose has lower sugar value than maltose. Okay, this is the thing. And so if we talk about glycemic index, so someone having a food that is having a glycemic index of less than 50, it is considered to be less. Then moderate value of glycemic index is, let's say, like, moderate value of glycemic index lies between 56 to 69. Then 56 to 69, and then high value of glycemic index is those foods that that has value of greater than or equal to 70, like that. Correct answer is option D. Means option D is incorrect, okay, about glycemic index. So with this, now let us move to next question, question number 54. Here they have given 2 statements and we need to identify whether the first statement is correct or not, second statement is correct or not. Then we need to see whether second statement is the correct explanation of first statement or not. Okay. First, it says while subsonic cruise missiles, here we are talking about cruise missiles. Okay, means like this question is from the missile technology. Okay, so we like while discussing about missile technology, we discussed that we have various types of missiles. Cruise missiles, we have, let's say, the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and like based on the speed of these missiles, we name those missiles as subsonic, sonic, supersonic, hypersonic, like that. Okay, so here they are talking about subsonic cruise missiles, means those missiles that have a speed less than 1 Mach. Okay, subsonic means those missiles that have a speed less than 1 Mach value. Okay, 1 Mach means speed of sound. Okay, cruise missiles are those missiles that travel at lower altitude, right? And if I talk about intercontinental ballistic missiles or in general ballistic missiles, they travel at a very high altitude. So they say while subsonic cruise missiles use ramjet engines. See, subsonic cruise missiles do not use ramjet engines, they use jet propellant, okay, or jet propellant engines or jet engines. Okay, they do not use ramjet engines. What is the difference between jet engines and, let's say, ramjet engines? Basically, jet engines use fan propellants. I mean, here fan rotates or turbofan rotates and it creates the thrust for the engine to go forward. When we talk about ramjet engines, so they do not use thrust in that manner. So they take air and using that air, it propels itself further. Okay, so like it is a kind of breathing engine, we can say. Ramjet engine is a kind of breathing engine. So in subsonic engines, we use jet propellant engines, not ramjet engines. And here now they have asked about supersonic cruise missiles mainly rely on scramjet technology. Okay, so this statement is wrong. Okay, so the entire statement is wrong. Second, speeds greater than 1 Mach. Okay, 1 Mach means speed of sound. What is the speed of sound in air? It is around 343 meter per second. Okay, meter per second. This is the speed of sound in air, and this speed is equivalent to 1 Mach. So speeds greater than 1 Mach are needed for higher thrust generation in air breathing propulsion systems. Means in ramjet engines, air breathing propulsion system means ramjet engines. Okay, so they need much higher speed. Okay, much higher speed. So second statement is right, first statement is wrong. Correct answer is option D. Statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct. Okay, so correct answer is option D. So with this, now let us move to another question. Question number 55. With reference to various levels of artificial intelligence, consider the following statements. Here they have given statements related to various levels of development of artificial intelligence. So generally we categorize artificial intelligence as weak AI, weak artificial intelligence, or generative artificial intelligence, or we categorize them as artificial general intelligence or general artificial intelligence. Then we also have super artificial intelligence. So based on this question has been framed. So this question says weak artificial intelligence systems are reactive machines which are programmed for specific tasks. This statement is right. Okay, this statement is right. For example, AI systems that are used in robotics, AI systems that are used in, let's say, automatic driving vehicles, okay, driverless cars, etc. So they are weak AI systems. Then generative artificial intelligence has lower levels of machine intelligence than artificial general intelligence. This is also right. Artificial general intelligence is also a concept which is largely theoretical at this point of time. We have not reached to the level that we can say that artificial general intelligence has been developed, but second statement is right. Third statement, artificial super intelligence is still a theoretical construct presently. This is also right. So artificial super intelligence is next level of artificial general intelligence. Means now we are at weak artificial intelligence, later general artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence will be developed. Then higher level of that is known as artificial super intelligence, where the artificial intelligence system will have cognitive abilities, and that cognitive abilities will surpass the human intelligence also. Okay, that's the thing. So all the three statements are right. So now they are asking how many of the above statements are correct. All the three statements are right. Okay, correct answer is option C. So with this, now let us move to another question, question number 56. Okay, it says, consider the following statements about small modular reactors. Okay, I have taught about small modular reactors in GS Foundation batch also, and also to those students who are preparing for this year's prelims exam. Okay, so small modular reactors are nuclear reactors, but they are smaller in size. Like we have conventional nuclear reactors which are very big in size. They require, let's say, huge area, they require huge capacity, they require more fueling, and the fueling frequency is high. When we talk about small modular reactors, these are modern technology. They are small in size, they are compact, and these small modular reactors can be, let's say, established in even in, let's say, highly populated regions. Generally, the conventional nuclear power stations, right, conventional nuclear reactors, they are located in far-flung areas, very far-flung areas where human population generally do not reside, because like they also have some kind of, let's say, threat for accidents and all. But small modular reactors are more safer, the fueling requirement or fueling cycle is less, and they are more efficient power generators. Okay, so this is the thing. So we based on this, let us see these three statements. Number one, they are about 1/3 of the size of the conventional nuclear reactors in terms of generating capacity. Means size of small modular reactors are 1/3, okay, than of conventional nuclear reactors. Second, they may require more frequent fueling compared to conventional nuclear reactors. This is wrong. Okay, in conventional reactors, refueling should be done every once or twice, means like every 1 year or after every 2 years. But in this case, 4 to 7 years, after 4 to 7 years, you need to go for refueling. Means here the frequency is less. Small modular reactors can be deployed in remote or off-grid locations to provide reliable and resilient power supply. Okay, this is also right. So first and third are right. So how many of these statements are correct? Only 2. Okay, correct answer is option B. So with this, let us now move to the next question. Question number 57. Let us read this question. With reference to viroids, okay, consider the following statements. When we talk about viroids, they are those kind of viruses that are smaller than virus. Basically, viroids affect the plants only. They only affect the plants, okay. So number one, and viroids are circular, okay. They are circular RNAs like that. So these are small single-stranded linear RNAs. So linear makes it wrong, okay. So they are not linear, they are circular. Next statement, they are infectious pathogens that affect only plants. This statement is right. Unlike viruses, they have no protein coating, okay. Viruses have protein coating, but like they do not have protein coating, okay. How many of the above statements are correct? Only two. Correct answer is option B, only two, okay, second and third. Now let us move to next question, question number 58, okay. It says, with reference to mitosis, consider the following statements. Remember, I have taught this thing in GS Foundation batch also, and also to, let's say, like other students who have attended some marathon classes in our institute, and also PT 100 batch. So basically, with reference to mitosis, when we talk about mitosis and meiosis, so these are cell division process. What? These are cell division process. So we have discussed about mitosis and meiosis. So these are cell division process. Mitosis is a process where one cell replicates into two cells. One cell, like from one cell, two cells are made, and they are identical copies of the parent cell. And this is used for regeneration of cells in the human body or in any kind of, let's say, like, multicellular organism. It is for, let's say, upkeeping the different organs of the body, okay. This is the thing. So it says it results in the formation of identical daughter cells. Yes, definitely this is right, mitosis. Okay, mitosis is a cell division process for the somatic cells in the body. Second, it is involved in the growth and repair of multicellular organisms. This statement is also right, okay. So all the kind of somatic cells that we have in the body, they go through mitosis process. But when we talk about germ cells means sex cells. So for them, meiosis is the process. They lead to formation of haploid cells. But because of mitosis, it forms diploid cells or diploid cells, okay. So both these statements are correct, okay. Correct answer is option C here. Now let us move to next question, question number 59. All right, question number 59. These waves are emitted as part of black body radiation from anything with a temperature greater than about 2 kelvins. Okay, here we are talking about waves. What? We are talking about waves. And here they have given description of a specific type of wave. Okay. So these waves are emitted as part of black body radiation from anything with a temperature greater than about 2 kelvins. Recently, scientists at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, have created next generation anti-counterfeiting tags harnessing these waves. These waves lie at lower frequency regions in the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, basically the scientists, engineers, professors who are working at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, they have harnessed, they have generated these waves. It is known as next generation anti-counterfeiting tags, okay, harnessing these waves. Okay, so here they are asking that these waves lie at lower frequency regions in the electromagnetic spectrum. Which of the following waves is being described in the above paragraph? Okay, so here they are asking about type of wave. So it is terahertz waves. Okay, which waves? Terahertz waves. These waves are generated from those bodies that have a body temperature of around 2 kelvins or above. Okay, we have a body temperature of around 37 degree Kelvin, like that, 37, okay, 37 degree centigrade. So, like, you know, terahertz waves are generated by those bodies that are at lower temperature, okay. Now let us move to another question, question number 60, last question from science and technology. It says, Consider the following statements regarding plant hormones. Okay, here what we are talking about plant hormones. Auxin is a type of plant hormone responsible for regulating seed germination and stem elongation. Auxin, I mean like it is for cell elongation, not seed germination. Then gibberellins. Okay, first statement is wrong. Okay, because here they have mentioned seed germination and stem elongation, which are wrong. Okay, these are wrong. Gibberellins are plant hormones primarily involved in promoting cell elongation and apical dominance. Okay, so this is the definition of auxins and this is the definition of gibberellins. I mean like, so they are matched the other way around. Auxin is this, gibberellin is that. Okay, like that. Okay, so both of them are incorrect. Auxins are plant hormones primarily responsible in promoting cell elongation and apical dominance, and gibberellins are plant hormone responsible for regulating the seed germination and stem elongation. So neither one nor two. Correct answer is option D. All right, correct answer is option D in this case. So that's all from this section for today. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's discussion. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.